The civil war within NPR continues as whistleblower Yuri Berliner has accused NPR of having a liberal bias, leaving readers at a loss for words at this shocking revelation.
Local patriot Don Johnson states that he has always thought of NPR as a nonpartisan place to read 10 to 15 articles about how AI is racist, doctors are racist, highways are racist, bird watching is racist, nice white people are racist, baseball is homophobic, football is sexist, why getting people to eat bugs is a conspiracy, why eating bugs is good, and 30 articles about microaggressions. But now that I know about the partisan bias, I will be unsubscribing immediately.
NRA member Randy Cooper states, I myself was just reading a few dozen NPR articles about how Trump's racist and right-wing extremism is the #1 problem in America, 21 plus articles about xenophobia and trans kids, before digging my teeth into dismantling anti-fat bias, fat shaming in science, fat phobia and its racist past and present. It's time to have the fat talk with our kids, how to fight diet culture, and a movement towards fat liberation. So as you can imagine, this news came as a shock, and I will be boycotting the publication effective immediately.
Whistleblower Yuri Berliner, who worked at NPR for 25 years before making this startling realization, claims he is just getting started with his discovery and vowed to spend the next 25 years investigating whether there is also any liberal bias at the Huffington Post.
The boys.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The lads.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The dudes.
Prepare yourself for BOYSCAST.
The bros.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The homies.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The dudes.
Experience the BOYSCAST.
The BOYSCAST.
Microphone check 1 2. What is this? It is the BOYSCAST.
Oh!
We are here, and one of us might be queer
Not me.
because there's a
Not.
new article came
Shotgun.
out, Why Gay Men Have Older Brothers. Now, I haven't done any research on this beforehand, but do you have any older brothers, Danny? Do you happen to maybe?
I might have one older brother.
Many confirmations on this pattern exist. Known since 1990s as the fraternal birth order effect, it has been theorized. I said this to my youngest brother. I was like, things aren't looking good, pal. It has been theorized that men have a roughly 33% increased probability of being attracted to a man for every older brother they have. Those with one older brother have approximate 2.6 probability of being gay. So that's you.
That seems like you have a higher percent of just being gay.
What did your older brother do? He used to trade art and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
okay,
he
so
was
you're more gay than that.
Yeah.
You're more gay than being really exceedingly into art.
That too seems low though.
No, 2.6% chance of being gay.
It seems like just, I don't know, with all the college students and stuff, it seems like it's just...
No, the college thing's a lie though, because every college one you look at, there's just like 30% of people are gay, and then you look at it and you go, well,
Yeah,
also
all
that's
chicks.
lesbians.
Right, yeah.
And it's not lesbians, it's bisexuals.
That's true.
They include girls that are in college that like made out with a chick, kissed a girl once and they liked it.
Nice.
And marry a guy. So it's all bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Those stats where they're like 99% of people are gay. However, this stat is bang on, ironclad statistic.
I love the research that gets done at our
That's a good point.
top university. Someone's like, I'm going to see if you have, like, it's like literally like broing out in the fucking locker room. We go, yeah, well, I'm about to do a study that says you're gay because you got two brothers. You go, what?
That's actually true.
That's my hypothesis.
Those with one brother have a 2.6% chance, and each after that, it's another 3.5, he explained. People with 5 older brothers have an 8% chance of being gay. 33% increase for every older brother. I don't know what the reason for it is. Sperm gets gayer, I think.
I don't know. Maybe you're just around all this.
Maybe it's because the older your parents... It doesn't make sense because they would have just said that you're more likely to be gay if you're older. I was thinking that the older you get, less T, your sperm gets a little gayer. Maybe.
That doesn't check out.
Maybe it's like, okay, these are the two things that I was thinking. Maybe one is the younger brothers are babied a little more.
Maybe, yeah, I could see that.
You're like a little bit of a mama's boy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that more mama's boy, like you probably breastfeed till you were like 12, which maybe turned you off titties.
I think it was older than that. I'm trying to think, when did I stop? It's something around that.
Yeah, somewhere around.
It's around there.
Some mid-teenagers you stopped. And then maybe I was thinking that the more kids you have, like let's say you're like 5th out of 5,
Yeah.
you're trying to like be an individual more, so maybe
maybe
you like lean in. Whereas
well, but if you're gay, like, I mean, assuming that being gay is not a choice.
no, it's a bit of a choice, a bit of a lifestyle. I think I think when they say it's a choice or not, I think it's both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's like there's certain things where it's like you might have a propensity towards that, but you still don't do it, you know?
Yeah, but
Like there's some guys that might have been gay, but they just end up being like a perv.
right, yeah, and they just go, well, I'm not gay, I'm delivered.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not just like into wild ass shit, like a JJ and Ian Fidance types. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they do. They both do a lot of.
But I'm saying I
really
feel
gay
like they
shit.
could have gone either way, guys like that. But then there's the guys that are like, just the full accent, and everything.
Flamboyant, yeah.
Flamboyant. I think that was probably something was it born with you, but
Yeah.
Well, why do you think it is then?
I don't
it
know.
has to be lifestyle thing, right? We can't be the sperms.
Yeah, it has
there.
to be something about obviously. I mean, the fact that they're saying that it increases with the more brothers you have, it has to be
Maybe
some
like
sort of-
older brothers, like it's more like
Environmental.
masculine energy in your house. But it doesn't say brothers; it says siblings.
No, I think it's brothers.
It is brothers.
It is brothers.
It's
yeah,
brothers
yeah.
specifically.
No, I don't think it counts for sisters because you would think if you had a bunch of sisters that might make you queer you up, but it doesn't.
Maybe it's that. It's that like you have too much like masculine energy that's older than you, and you feel like the run to the litter, which leads you
Yeah.
to suck dicks.
It's possible. It's possible. I hope they do a follow up.
It's not high. It's still you're still not likely
What if
to
you
be
have-
gay.
what
But
if you
you're
have,
just
like, one of those
more likely to
Irish-
be gay than me? That is a factual information. That
What
has
if
been
you
done
have
in
one
a
of
stat.
those Irish families though, where you're like the youngest of 18 brothers? Is that just like?
Well, I mean, you come out of the womb fucking giving
Well,
skiing.
what percentage of men are gay?
I don't know.
That's what I
at your house. At your house or in the general population.
What percentage of men are gay? We got 1.6%.
Right. So you're sitting at 2.5.
That's the demographics. I'm at 2.5.
You're 2.5 inches in percentile likely to be gay.
Interesting. This is an interesting study.
That's making me laugh. You know, they always do the studies about how they're talking about how the Roman dick sizes are small.
Yeah.
And there's all these things. I was like, it was making me laugh. A guy that them in the boardroom at like Vice magazine where they're doing the articles about the small dick sizes.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of people being like, we're going to do a running article about why the dick sizes are so small. And the one guy in the room being like, it's actually pretty normal. Like the one Vice reporter.
Is that small? Are we really?
He's like, I don't know. That article doesn't make sense. They look pretty reasonable to me.
Pretty reasonable. Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of, Trudeau had some bangers recently, man. He's been on fire. First of all,
Trudeau.
So right now, because they keep cranking in immigrants, and I'm sure America's having a little bit of this, but not nearly to the extent of some other countries. There is now 250,000 more 20 to 29-year-old men in Canada than women. 9% imbalance, dudes to chicks, because they're just bringing in. So basically, Trudeau's
Lot of please openings.
Well, Trudeau's at exactly, because Trudeau's at the border,
Yeah.
and it was like hot chick. He's like, ew, you know what I mean? Then a bunch of dudes. He's like, that'll do. You know?
I wonder, when they for their immigration policy, do they look at gender stuff at all in terms of trying to balance it out?
They should be, but they're not. That's the problem. They should be trying to stay in a country. I mean, China obviously did this because all the abortion stuff,
Yeah.
and people were, getting rid of the chicks.
Right,
And then they have a huge problem where it's like, the last thing you want is a bunch of dudes that aren't that can't smash, right?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, we went to Guelph, which was the opposite. Nice. At our university, it was 70-30 guy-girl because a lot of the programs they had a lot of veterinary and shit. A lot of animal stuff.
Yeah.
But our program wasn't like that. But it was, that's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But he legitimately turned the country into a sausage fest.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
funny.
too, is because generally, people don't especially culturally, mix that much. So it's probably certain cultures who are getting fucked really badly.
That's a good point,
by
too.
this. It's pretty specific. You don't see not that you never see it, but you don't see a ton of Indian guys with non-Indian girls, right? So
I think in Toronto
you do a bit. I'm not saying never, but I'm saying
I don't know about that.
It's you definitely. It's not. They're more likely people just. So anyway,
second generation, you see a lot of mixing. I'm saying the first generation, where they got the accent, they usually stick to their own.
Yeah, and these are the first generations.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, with the accent, if they still have the accent, they usually try to stick to their own shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they grew up here, it's a bit different. But yeah, that's not a bad point. So it's probably fucking those dudes the most.
Yeah, it's tough. So I don't know.
You're supposed to move here with your wife. You know what I mean? If you're gonna do it.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know if the thing is some of them are sending money back and they go because there's that whole thing where
they're just getting here to work.
Well, but they're the wife will come with the kids at some point. So I don't know if maybe that's skewing it as well, where they go, the wife's coming. She's just chilling right now, but she'll be here at some point.
I thought it was those guys. Trudeau's a whole ass clown, dude. If I was, I wouldn't be happy with that.
No.
Just that'll do. Trudeau at the border, just fucking checking the guy's arms out. Oh, nice. That's a nice immigrant right there.
Let's see your teeth.
Yes,
You're like, oh,
yes,
God.
yeah. Yes, please. It's basically like Get Out. Trudeau's out there on the border in his blackface doing Get Out. Yes, please. He goes, thinking that we don't have anywhere to put these immigrants. He's like, I'll take him. Yeah, put him in my house.
Bring him to Ottawa.
Also, you know what the other thing is too? That I was just in La Jolla, which is like San Diego, basically.
Yeah.
There's a direct correlation. This is maybe obvious, but it's interesting to know because I was in the two places and one's the richer one. It's like, it's so funny the extent to which there's such a direct correlation between how expensive the place is and how hot the girls are.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But it's like, you literally go to a restaurant.
What
that's
comes
like,
first?
What do you mean?
You think it's the hot girls make stuff expensive?
Yeah.
The hard times make soft men or whatever? Like, do hot girls make shit expensive, or do expensive things bring hot girls?
Well, I think if you're a 4 out of 10 and you're just like, I want to go to that place, the guy's like, I bet you do. You know what I mean?
I bet you do.
Like, I think what it is just straight up. It's like dudes have money there, and dudes that have money will get hot girls because hot girls like money. But
the hot girls,
they sniff it out. They can smell your pockets.
Yeah. But again,
pocket watching.
Yeah, they're coming there because they go. I'm sure there's a lot of rich dudes in San Diego area.
Also, there's another thing about San Diego is San Diego has this a bit. There's a few, like Long Beach has this kind of like when you watch it. You remember that show that was like the web series about the boys of Long Beach or whatever it was? You know.
Yeah. Simi Valley? No.
Simi Valley.
Yeah.
Those places are just so chock full of like 20 to 26-year-old men that like kind of used to skateboard, like looking around for a fight. She's like, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
Like everywhere you went, buddy. It was like this one guy, like basically there was a guy in the bathroom. We went to like a bar afterwards. The guy in a bathroom, right? Big fat guy. And it was his birthday. And then he was probably in there for 15 minutes. There was only one bathroom. So everyone's like knocking on the door, like what's going on in there? Assume someone's doing drugs. The guy kicks open the door, walks out, he goes, I'm taking a shit. Can I fucking wipe? And he pushes a guy. The guy goes into the girl. Guy goes in the girl. Girl goes flying back like 15 feet. The guy gets pushed, and then everyone's getting in everyone's face. Like, what are you looking at? He goes, can I fucking wipe my ass? The guy goes back. Another guy walks up, and he goes, he's talking about the girl that just went on the floor. He goes, what just happened? I saw a girl on the floor. And then he goes, oh, the guy came out and a guy came out and pushed him, and then he went into the girl. And then this guy goes, and no one did anything? You're telling me a woman got pushed and you just sat there and let it happen? And it's just like,
and you're like,
I just like,
I mean, yeah, I guess I did. I guess when you put it that way, I did let it happen.
And the girl's just like, well, I know the guy. And I was just like, can all of you guys calm down? I guess it was like, we were all like that a little bit in college, and these guys were that, but it was just funny being like, no interest in any of that. I was just like, can all you boys calm down a little bit?
Can a man shit in peace?
No, the shitting guy was out of control too. They were all out of control, but it was just funny because I guess I'm like older than these people, so I was just a little bit like a guy yelling at everyone who's trying to fight. He's like, why don't you do something? Why don't you do something? And I was like, boys, take a breather here.
Just let the man finish his shit.
But it's such a very specific type of guy that exists like in those places.
Yeah.
Really looking for it.
Yeah, really.
Sort of like white Caravana.
Probably
like, you know,
I'll
Caravana, when I always say when you walk around, you just have to look at the floor, because if you look at anyone, it's like, you know, there's every corner there's a fight. That's the white version of that. It's just like guys that used to be like skateboarders and like surfer, like
They're
bars.
probably all coked out. Too. They're probably all just.
I didn't even think of that, but that's such an obvious
probably too.
point.
They're
that's
all just
true.
Fucking, they're near the Mexico border.
I don't know how I didn't even put that together. Those guys are on fucking so much blow, just looking for it.
Just looking for some trouble. That's probably why the guy was shitting so much, because he was doing so much coke and has the baby laps.
It's a great point, and that's probably why I had to wipe so much.
He's probably doing a line, and then he goes. Shit comes out. He goes, this won't stop.
Yeah, it was an endless cycle of lines and shitting. But the other thing that Trudeau had was halal mortgages.
The halal mortgages.
Which, it's interesting because Muslim people are sort of doing a bit of a Jewy thing.
Yeah.
Because basically they can't
borrow money. They're not allowed to borrow money with interest. It's like not for their religion. So it's like, it's just like it's literally the wigs.
So they can't technically do it. So basically what they do is they loan you money, and then they, instead of calling it interest, they put it in like another fee. They structure it differently.
Yeah,
it actually costs more than the interest.
Yeah, apparently that's the thing. It's not Jewish because they pay more. They go, because they're doing this, they actually end up paying more money.
But it's a loophole.
But it's a loophole, yeah.
You're right. If Jews were doing it, it would be bang on.
Jews aren't like, we're not paying more money for our mortgage.
God would hate that.
Yeah. But no, they're people are getting all mad. Apparently, it's really big in the UK. The halal mortgages.
Well, it's just, it's funny, like, spending more for that, but it is a loophole. It's like, if you can't do usury, you're still giving them money to lend you a loan.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like, I get, obviously, you're buying a house, you're not putting down the full payment on it.
4% more, though, apparently.
Yeah, however you want to fucking explain it to yourself.
I feel like if there was, like, if Allah was up there watching that, he would be like, I don't actually like you guys giving Jews 4% more money, like, to appease me. He'd be like, I promise you, I don't want you. When I said no interest, what I did, this is worse. Like, I was saying don't loan money. I was definitely not saying
borrow money trickily from the Jews.
Give Jews more money.
Yeah.
That can't be what Allah wants.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like a Muslim credit union that deals with this specifically, because then, like, because usually, like, with the Jew stuff, it'll be like within the community, but is this like are they getting it from
No, they're getting them from banks and stuff that offer them.
Oh.
I mean, it's just literally a sucker tax.
Yeah, it's just a sucker tax. Hey, man, they love being Muslim.
Anyways, just a quick thing. We have, we officially have Jonathan Haidt confirmed for the next 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think in the next 2 weeks. I think in 2 weeks we have him on, which is pretty cool. We were trying to get him on for a while, but that'll be a cool one.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
We had a mutiny in our comments yesterday. It was last week. It was like,
Ew.
I've never seen so much fighting.
Dude, I literally texted. I was saying, I texted you. I go, have you seen the comments this week? And you're like, what do you mean?
Well, I was on West Coast time, so I was just waking up.
Right, I go, have you seen the comments by chance?
I mean, one thing I would say,
very polarizing character.
I feel like it's good that some people care about our podcast enough to get that heated, right? It seemed like a lot of people were. And then it's hard to pick out who is. I usually listen to when people on the Patreon send me their like criticisms. I usually listen, and people that post like in the first like hour, I kind of look at, because those are usually people. When it starts to get like, when there's like big fights going on like 5 hours and it's hard to parse out who people actually are fans and who people don't care what we think. So
yeah, exactly.
I hate it when anyone doesn't like anything, because I feel like somewhat I'm like I feel like that I like I don't know if like letting them down is the wrong word, but I hate when I post something and people don't like it.
Yeah,
I'm like, fuck them.
Of course. Well, they're probably not gonna like. We're gonna have Justin Trudeau on next month, so I hope you guys like it. He's pretty chill.
Yeah. I guess I like to have different people on with different perspectives.
It's cool. I mean, it's not like a weekly thing, so it's just what it is.
But it was crazy the amount of mutiny, though. Ding, 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 ding.
I mean, it's
ding,
the most comments on any episode by like a huge factor.
Yeah, and on all the other platforms too.
Everywhere,
especially because we had him on last year, and it wasn't that like that at all.
Yeah, we had him on a year ago, and it was generally like everybody's like, I like this guy.
Yeah, crazy. It changed in like a year how much people were like polarized on that one.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is, so I did like a video of street interviews at the Trump thing, and I think
how was that?
People were pretty pumped about it. That one got pretty good response.
Mm-hmm.
People are always kind of like, even at shows and stuff, probably the most thing people always tell me is to go do the street interviews again.
Yeah.
But one of the things I always like, I think a lot of people, this happens every year where they're just like, oh, you're not doing them anymore. And it was just winter. Like it was straight up like doing street interviews in New York in the winter sucks because no one wants to talk to you. Like on top of the fact that we're cold, that's whatever, we can get by.
Yeah.
But it's like, the problem is you talk to people and they're all like rushing to where no one wants to stop and talk to you. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, so a lot of times I've done a few where I do sketches that have like little parts that, I do like half and halves.
Yeah.
I do a lot of those.
Yeah.
But I never do the big ones. But anyways, the reason I'm bringing it up is we were there on Thursday, and then Friday, that's when the guy lit himself on fire.
The guy who lit himself on fire.
By a day. What? Dude, there was this like female reporter that was sitting in the tent that if you watch the video, I go up to...
Chick from CNN?
I think so.
Yeah.
Was it CNN? And then I go up to them and I was whispering because everyone was like, shut the fuck up. And I was like, you ever got buoyed? And I was like, who's that? Is that girl? And I'm just like, I'm kind of, I don't know if it was in the video, but I was basically saying to them like, listen, we're just a couple guys doing press here, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we got to work together. Like I can give you my leads and you give me your leads or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That was the gist of it. And they're all just like, she's currently on air, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And I actually wasn't being that disruptive, but had people, they were on edge that I was just there. They're just like, please go away.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hey, this is the press tent. I keep getting sent over to the press tent.
And you were allowed to be there?
Not really. The cops, no one really know what to do with me. But they kept sort of saying, you can't go here, you can't go there. And then the police kept sending me to the press tent.
Okay.
And the press tent people kind of kept being like, get out of here. So everyone was kind of just like, beat it. So I kept just kind of going to different places for like 5 or 10 minutes and then leaving. But in that area where you've seen the video where that girl goes, there's someone who lit himself on fire. There's an active shooter. She starts yelling, there's an active shooter.
First she goes, there's an active shooter. And then she did like the sports play-by-play. She's like, he's currently on fire. He's burning. He's burning. He's burning. He's burning. He's burning. And he's down. Down goes the fireman. Yeah, everybody was fucking clowning her a bit for her play-by-play. He's burning. He's burning. People are running around. Nobody knows what's going on. He's burning. He's burning. He's burning.
And the bystanders are not liking what they see right now.
Oh, and it smells like shit out here. The smell of burning flesh.
It appears there was not an active shooter. That was a miss on my part, but we're going to try to get this right moving forward. Yeah.
That guy was crazy.
Well,
they all are. You have to be crazy.
I've been trying to look into that one. The first part that I'll say is the level that people are burning themselves on fire is going down pretty quickly. I swear to God, like it started out people protesting like wars. Now it's a guy like protesting crypto. In a week, you're going to turn on the TV and it's going to be a guy protesting Arby's changing their hours. It's like out of control.
If it's effective, it's effective. The problem is it's not effective.
People protesting that Amazon discontinued a size of the sock that they like.
I mean, like the one dude, everybody they point to the one guy the monk who lit a Tibetan.
He was the OG.
In like during Vietnam, and they go, see, that worked, and you go, maybe it did, maybe it just
might have helped,
but maybe it helped, but it was
iconic.
Yeah, but these people, it's not working.
No, it's not really making that much of a dent.
No, I said that they should, if someone actually lit themselves on fire to protest like mental health awareness kind of thing, that might do something.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's crazy the extent to which it's just a social contagion. Like it's straight up like, that's why they don't show suicides on TV. And like every time they do like publicize mass shootings, it makes it worse. Like so much of that stuff is just social contagion.
You think we'll be seeing more of the...
Well, they're all 10-minute miles, right?
Yeah.
It's or 10. Yeah. What's that? 4-minute miles. It's all the... or 10 sec. I don't know what it is.
4-minute miles.
4-minute miles. It's all people like, oh, I wouldn't even think to do that. And then you're just like, it's on the table now, right?
Yeah.
So that's what so many people do. But the interesting thing to me was this one, I swear I knew this guy. Like that name, I was like, I feel like I've seen this guy cooking around online or something. I don't know how. I don't know what, but like I swear that I recognize this guy's name from this and that. Okay. Maybe we've seen articles he wrote or whatever, because I think he worked for the Democratic Party at one point.
Yeah, he had a Substack, but he's just like some lunatic. Right?
Well,
his whole thing was he's like, the Trump and Biden are literally are playing characters. They're actually like friends, and they're just literally like wrestling characters, and fascism's like coming to America. And I mean, some of the stuff he said, you're like, yeah, it is a bit of a kleptocracy. And
well, a lot of it was the biggest thing that none of the press, because I read like 5 articles trying to figure out what exactly was going on.
Yeah.
And none of them, and then I read his actual Substack, and it's interesting, like, it's funny nowadays when you can always actually see the actual thing because of the internet. You're like, they're reporting on something, and then you can just go read it yourself, and you're just like, so you didn't mention any of the like his main point at the top, like a big selling point for him was Peter Thiel started crypto, and crypto is essentially it's like a pyramid Ponzi scheme, and it's like run by billionaires to extract the wealth, and the government's involved. And I don't know the intricacies of it, but it was very like crypto Peter Thiel oriented. And then I look at Fox News basically said nothing about why that happened, nothing about the crypto or anything. They're like, he was a Democrat that worked for Bernie. They were kind of saying that. They go, they wouldn't. One thing he did is he took his flyers and he threw the Substack in the air.
Yeah. He printed out his pamphlets.
Which is pretty funny. Promo.
Yeah. I mean, hey, man.
That's what I'm going to do. No one wants to come to my comedy show. Here's the tickets, and then I burn myself on fire.
Yourself on fire.
Yeah, so Fox wouldn't mention anything. The Independent, CNN, didn't mention anything. Like, this is what the Independent said. Recently, he started posting anti-establishment conspiracy theories, including a lengthy article on Substack, which blasted politicians, billionaires. So his thing, like, Independent basically saying, like, he's a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
And then Examiner was the only one that ever said what I saw with my own eyes.
About that.
Well, the Examiner was the only article that resembled what I read from his Substack, and it said cryptocurrency played a central role in his wide-ranging conspiracy theory, claiming it was an economic doomsday device intended to implement an apocalyptic global fascist coup.
Yeah, all right.
Speaking of guys that were saying crazy things, shout out to Ryan Garcia.
Yeah.
Because he fucking took that fight and it was actually
Did you
pretty
see
sick
he
fight.
bet fucking $2 million?
I didn't know you were allowed to bet on yourself.
Yeah, yeah, you're allowed to. I mean, you're not allowed to bet against yourself, but you're definitely.
Is that what it is? You can bet on yourself, but I thought you couldn't bet, period.
I mean, I'm sure certain things because there's the guy on the Raptors who just got banned from the NBA
For life.
Yeah, I mean, it's idiotic.
That's a moron.
He bet 80 grand on himself that he would he was betting on player props.
Well, he would tell people to bet on his behalf.
No, he was just betting. Well, yeah, but it was a player prop where literally he barely played, and then he bet he would get under 2 points or something in under 7 minutes, and it was a parlay that paid $1 million.
Yeah,
and then he just checked into a game and he goes, I feel sick, and just checked out, and that was enough to win.
Yeah, and then but it's with all the algorithms, they find out pretty easily. They're instantly they're just huge bet on a random thing. What's going on? Oh, these guys know each other.
And they didn't even pay it out. They didn't even pay. Yeah, they never even paid it out because then they started investigating it. It's the most money that had ever been bet on him as a prop was $200.
And what did this guy bet?
80 grand.
Yeah, fuck off. That seems like a
stupid.
And he and that's probably when you start playing in these leagues, they probably tell you hey, crazy strict rules on this shit.
Yeah, for sure. You can't. You definitely. I mean, you're allowed to gamble, but I don't know how it works with gambling on other sports, but definitely not on the NBA.
But I didn't know you could bet on yourself.
I don't know. Maybe that's a boxing thing.
I think
you definitely can't bet on like LeBron James can't bet on the Lakers to win a game.
You know what I think? There is some rule where it's you can't bet on these sites, but in Vegas, there's some rule where you can do it in Vegas or something.
Maybe. I don't know about boxing, but anyways, apparently he made $12 million just betting on himself to win.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
pretty wild.
Yeah.
And he said he's going to donate 25 to Palestine too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. A lot of weird. Dude, I don't know if you saw the Google stuff was popping up
Dude,
again.
I actually meant to
There's a
talk
lot
about it
going
last
on.
week. I walked, so the Google's headquarters is on 16th and 8th.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they're New York headquarters.
New York headquarters.
And last week with the Destiny episode, I was walking over and I walked by their headquarters and they were handing out pamphlets. And I was meaning to bring it up, but I forgot. But they were handing out pamphlets, and I remember at the time thinking, this is what you guys are doing during work? Is you're just out here handing out fucking pamphlets?
Oh, interesting.
And then they all got fired later that day.
You were thinking I own stock in Google. What the fuck
no,
is
I
this?
don't know. It's talking Google, but I was like, what are they doing? You're like, this is what Google's up to. There was probably 6 of them, all spread out through.
How'd you know they worked there?
They were Google employees stand against Israel, and they were handing out pamphlets.
And you're just this is what you're getting paid $400
Yeah, I'm
grand a year
you make
for.
$400 grand a year. To this is what you're up to, and anyways, and then and they all got fired. I actually they posted a photo, and I recognized one of the people who was handing out pamphlets from the photo.
Interesting.
Yeah, shit canned.
That's wild that you saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the thick of it over here. Well, I don't know if you saw that, but they just passed, I'll just say it, not to be too Tucker Carlson on this whole thing, but I was talking about the, not even the Google thing, then there was the school thing, which was popping up again big time this week, right?
What, the Colombia stuff?
The Colombia stuff,
Colombia,
right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of
the whole thing's
and all the Jewish people are we can't go to school, we're not safe, and they're out there protesting. And a part of me is it's
a private school.
Well, that, but also it's are we gonna just pretend that there wasn't no white people days for 9 years? You're just all the rabbis, they were we don't feel safe going to school. It's well, are you white? Did you feel so you didn't care when it was you literally weren't allowed to go on campus if you were white? Remember that? Evergreen and all that stuff?
Yeah.
And you're just I mean, at the very least, it's the same.
Yeah, I mean, again, look, it's
seems normal.
They're
to
all
me.
oh, we should feel safe for these protests. You're you see when they have the whatever, those Nazi dude, that guy's all tattooed, and you're you don't people are allowed to protest. You don't have an expectation that if you're going to go there, you would be safe. There's a reason why they have counter protesters and they remove them. They'll be you can protest here and you protest here because you guys are obviously.
Is there argument that they weren't removing them or was something?
Their whole thing is all the Jewish students are we want to be able to walk right through them, and you're no, you can't.
They're allowed to protest.
They're allowed to protest. They're
especially college campuses now. I'm sure a lot of those Jewish students were at all the other protests.
For sure they were. That's the thing.
You know
They
what
were
I mean?
all doing all the George Floyd stuff, and then now they're yeah, it's kind of going against them, and they don't like it. And you're fuck, tough shit. I don't know. It's like one. It's like school's over in 2 weeks, anyways.
That's a good point.
Like apparently they just said Colombia is like all remote for the rest of the year, and they just have exams. You're like, they're not accomplishing anything at Colombia. Like they think this is Vietnam. You're like, where they're gonna protest, and then everybody in the country is gonna be like, yeah. I'll be like, the difference with Vietnam is everybody knew someone who was dying in Vietnam. Right, like everybody had someone who lived on their street who like didn't come home from Vietnam. They're like, yeah, we should end this war. Whereas with this, they're like, nobody knows anybody who's dying. It's like a totally separate thing.
Some people, I guess, do. But yeah,
But not
no,
like-
you're saying not those
You
people.
don't just know some guy on your street who died in Palestine, like
Unless you're a Palestinian.
I guess unless you're a Palestinian.
Fellas, what's the most valuable thing in the world? Maybe honey buns?
Ooh, I like a honey bun.
Honey buns? Maybe your crypto, perhaps. Well, exactly. What's the second most valuable thing? That's time. Managing and worrying about your body odor used to take up a lot of time. People are paranoid about smelling, especially around midday, especially if you're out there doing a high intensity thing. You're walking around New York, potentially, you can work up quite a sweat doing those sort of things.
stanky.
Can all be extremely time consuming, but not anymore. Since I switched to Mando whole body deodorant, you free up time. And when you have extra time, you can use that time to work on your golf game. Something you might be doing.
I was just playing.
Yeah, I probably shot 150, and that's not more now that he has more time on his hand. That's the effect, and it's long lasting. Here's why. Mando doesn't cover up odor after the fact with heavy fragrances like certain other deodorants. It stops odor at the source, blocking the bacteria on your skin from eating your sweat, which is exactly the cause of BO. What does this mean? It means Mando is clinically proven to control odor up to 72 hours, and that is a long time. Maybe you're with a certain someone, you wake up the next morning, you're still cooking. So give yourself a precious gift of time when you get yourself some Mando whole body deodorant. Special offer, our customers get $5 off Mando's best-selling starter kit with the code BOYSCAST at shopmando.com. I've been using it. I recommend the deodorant. It does last longer than others. Frees up time. Mando is seriously safe to use. Can go anywhere on your body. Pits, packages, belly buttons, butt cracks, skinky crevices, stomach folds, and feet. So this thing can go all over. It's created by a doctor who saw firsthand the normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Mando whole body deodorant is powerful enough for the toughest body odor, but gentle enough to use everywhere, allowing you to put Mando on family jewels without any worry, because Mando's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, cruelty-free, dye-free, vegan. So Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. Comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I got a discount code to help you get hooked up with your favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off the starter pack with the exclusive code BOYSCAST. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use the code BOYSCAST at shopmando.com. That is shopmando.com. Listen, it's important for me that the supplements I take are of the highest quality, and that's why for years I've been drinking AG1. Unlike many supplement brands, AG1 conducts relentless testing, sets the standard for purity and potency. AG1's constantly searching for how to do things better at 52 iterations of their formula and counting. Their team's always trying to find better ways to source, test, aim, and find the best quality ingredients available. It's researched and developed in-house. It's got the best quality and efficiency. It's tested for 950 contaminants and banned substances, while the industry standard typically only tests for 10, replacing multiple health supplements like multivitamins, digestive aids, immune support, and more in just one simple scoop. AG1's ingredients are heavily researched for efficacy, quality. I love that every scoop also includes prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes for gut support, folate, magnesium, ashwagandha for stress support. Listen, we partnered for AG1 for so long because they make a high quality product I genuinely look forward to drinking every day. It's one scoop from the bag, and they also, you get the good
travel packs.
The travel pack.
And
but
it tastes great.
What's the thing that you put it in? What would you call
shaker
it?
bottle?
Shaker bottle.
Yeah.
You get a great shaker bottle. I take it every morning. It's the first thing I do. While you're brewing a coffee, you can pop that in there. So if you want to replace your multivitamin and more, start with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first subscription at drinkag1.com/boyscast. That is drinkag1.com/boyscast to check it out. So this is what I was sort of thinking, because they just actually passed another like bill. It was like, 95 billion, like
95
right?
billion.
Well, the numbers just seem so crazy. They're hard to comprehend. You're just like, how much money did you give? We gave like a billion kajillion to Ukraine, a billion quadrillion to Israel. You're like, and a zillion, and we just gave infinity to fucking Taiwan, right? So
Man, some people must get so fucking rich off that shit too. Like,
buddy, I looked into what it is. And so what it is mostly weapons, right?
Yeah.
When they say money, what they really mean is they give the weapons contract.
It's a voucher for fucking U.S. weapons, essentially.
That's a good way to explain it.
Essentially. Yeah.
They give you a $90 million voucher.
$90 million weapons voucher.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and you just look at the national debt. And some of this stuff, this is where I was kind of thinking with why this conflict's like to me sometimes a little different when I'm trying to like parse out what I think, because I've listened to so much people talk about it.
Yeah.
And we will only go into this for another few seconds, but like I've listened to so much people talk about it. I listened to like Bassem's stuff for a million years. I've listened to Dave and people like that. I've listened to Gnome, and I've kind of listened to all the opinions. I've been thinking about it, obviously, and trying to, I don't know as much nearly as a million other people.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, so they're kind of like, I don't think that America should be funding this. That I get.
Yeah.
And then the other part of being like, Israel's probably wildin' and they need to fucking take it down a notch, and then the idea that they're probably not even going to accomplish their objective potentially, and this will just that stuff.
I mean, they're literally none of the wars that they've fought with Palestine, they all just end with like nobody winning, and they go okay,
right.
And
so I think all those points I get,
the
and they all
next one.
sort of like make sense to me, and I think I'm on board with. And then I think the part that makes it weird is anyone I talk to that's like super pro Palestine. Whenever I'm like, so what does that mean? Like, what exactly are you pro? You know what I mean? Like, if you're like saying, okay, I'm pro Ukraine, generally that means you want more money. If you were saying I don't think they'd give more money, they wouldn't say you're pro Russia. They would just say you don't think that America should be paying for it. So
sure.
So when you say you're pro Palestine, I'm like, does that mean for some people it means
they just mean they want them to have their land.
Some people mean that, and then some people mean that they just think that Israel shouldn't be occupying that place anymore.
Yeah, that's what.
And then some people are just like, just stop what you're doing now is what it means. Just like no more of this.
Like a ceasefire.
Some people just mean that. So it's like, I think one of the things that's confusing is there's like so many stances that are completely different things that are kind of like wrapped up into one, like what you would call a side.
Yeah.
And if that makes sense. So it's like, in a thing like this, there's not like a ton of room for nuance. So there's people that are like on the same side, you would say, that are like out here protesting together that have wildly different views of what they actually want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure any of them will be happy with any of those things, but
whenever I ask anyone, like, what do you think what do you kind of like want? I feel like you don't get an answer. It's like they always like feel like a lot of people are kind of saying,
yeah, and I mean, I understand like you don't want the U.S. to fund these things is like pretty reasonable if you don't want the U.S. to fund wars. The problem is the U.S. just sees that as defense, really just like a defense spending purchase or whatever, like they're just like, that's the same as if they're just buying weapons.
That's being generous. I think some of these people, their brains are so cooked and they're so embedded with these weapons contractors that it's like,
I mean, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm saying just in terms of like the people who are like their budgets, they go, yeah, this is just.
I would say
another thing.
Some people, I'm sure there's some versions of
in their minds they go, this is for America.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't think that, and like usually. We were talking about that last week where I think Destiny was saying that he sort of thinks that you want to give people the benefit of the doubt that th're trying to do their best.
Yeah.
The more I thought about that afterwards, I was kind of like, I think the actual answer is like people moving their self-interest, really. I think I'm more like Ayn Randian about that, where it's like, if you actually look at people's what they're saying, I think it's more accurate to be like, it's fair to say that they're moving in their self-interest. So I think a lot of those people, sure, they have like a mask of like, oh, I'm pro-America, but really underneath, they're just like, the game's the game.
Yeah.
Like, these are my fucking boys. That's where the dollars go. I'm the war guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
like
to a degree. I mean, there's some like
Lindsey Graham's of the world. Like, you can say he just loves America, and that's what it's like. I bet you it's more just like, this is the game, dude.
I think, Lindsey Graham, I think, just wants to wipe off any fucking potential adversary to America. He goes, I don't want anybody who's hostile to America in the world. And if I get a chance to take him out, I'm gonna.
There's a tent in fucking Abu Dhabi with 3 people that looked at us weird.
Yeah, he goes, fuck that. He goes, those might be 3 potential future terrorists. They might not, but I'm not gonna take the risk.
Let's kneecap it.
Yeah, it's a crazy position, but
But it is.
That's how they think about it.
It is crazy that it's been going on for a while. And it's just as wild as ever, and a lot of it's happening in New York. So it is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think they had an NYU. Although I think they were started arresting everybody the other day, which again is insane because you let all the George Floyd stuff happen, and then nobody was getting arrested for that, and then this is just the bridge too far. Is the thing?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Let them fucking protest. Like it's their, as far as I understand, it is their right as Americans to protest. So like, let them protest. I don't know. They're not like causing any damage. They're just like, some people are like, again, they're like, some Jewish people are like, oh, I don't feel comfortable walking through them. And you're like, okay, well, don't then. I don't know. Go fucking set up a counter protest across the street. That's like, I mean, I remember in Toronto, there was forever right at college and like university, there every year there's a literal Israel-Palestine protest.
There's just one every second.
No, but no. This is like when I was still living there though, because I remember accidentally walking into it, and it was like, I asked the cop, and he goes, they do this every year, and he goes, we put the Israelis on one corner, and we put the Palestinians on the other corner, and they're like penned in, and they get to have their protests. And
they just sort of yell at each other.
They just yell at each other. You go, yeah, that's fine. But like, for sure, you'd be out of your mind to think, if you're a Palestinian, that if you start walking into the Israeli side, that's
a good move.
And vice versa. I don't know.
It is. I do remember, growing up, it's like being in college or whatever. You just be like, "Oh, that's where the protests are." Okay,
yeah.
I'll be over here in the getting pussy area.
Sure. I mean, and they're all like doing land acknowledgements and like that's
the
like
whole thing. Yeah,
that's the kind of stuff they're getting up to. They're not.
They're
not doing anything of substance, but it's their right to protest.
Well, I'll tell you, let's see if this is a bridge too far for you, because the furry community is in full effect.
This was actually crazy because of literally last week as well with the Destiny thing with the I watched that whole video.
The furries.
But with the litter boxes. Because all these kids are like, yes, there are litter boxes.
I'm telling you, that's a lot. Well, so I went, I'm going to just say this point a little clearer before I was getting a little excited there.
Yeah.
But I've said this before, but it is worse now. There was 5 or 6 things that I was like, that's so funny, I want to talk about it. And I had to go to like 9 things to figure out what the fuck was going on.
I know. I watched that whole video. I went on YouTube and like watched like a 10-minute video of them because
let me read the title. Middle school kids protest staff support for furries click. Dozens of Utah middle schoolers and their parents staged a walkout Wednesday to protest their district allowing so-called student furries to bite, bark, and pounce on their peers. A deranged accusation the school said is nothing more than a rumor. So basically there's an actual protest out there, and the parents are all involved, and all the right-wing sources sort of pick this up, and they're like, these furries are out of control. Like, they're painting
and apparently what the furries are, it's like the principal's kid.
Come on!
That's what one of the kids said, it's the principal's kid.
Let's go.
That's why they're not getting in trouble.
The way they're saying it, it's like a reverse school where you walk in and the furries run shit. It's like, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
Humanoid.
It is really crazy. I'm like, does bullying not exist
It's
anymore?
the reverse bullying.
Honestly, that's like all I could think of is you go and you fucking shove them into a locker in their furry suit, and then tomorrow they probably aren't a furry anymore.
What happens is like the captain of the football team's coming in, they come bite his ball like beat it, jock.
But I guess what they're saying is they're like, we do bully them and then we get in trouble for it. Like we fight back against them and they're like, we're getting in trouble.
The furry side is they were sort of getting bullied and they were fighting back. And then also they're saying they just have the cat ears on.
Yeah.
But I don't know why the kids would be lying, because if it is funny though,
I don't know, because a lot of them said the thing about.
I mean, that would be hilarious though.
Even the person interviewing them was like, he's like, I thought the kitty litter thing was just a rumor, and then like a bunch of them were like, no, I've seen it. Like I saw the kitty litter.
It might be. I mean, can you imagine you were like these 12 kids staging the protest, and then you got in trouble for like bullying the furries, and then you went to the grave that they were biting you, and then you actually to the point where your parents were like, well, then let's protest if you're getting bit by the furries, and you had to like, okay, you had to go protest that they were biting you.
I mean, she said, or they said.
Hey, I had a teacher once that was a hall monitor, and then I guess would torment her so much that she eventually punched Waldo.
Oh, really?
And they brought us to the office, and then we acted like it really affected us, and we were feeling the trauma, and we wanted to demand a written apology. And then the principal left the room, and we both burst out laughing. Probably the hardest I've ever laughed in my life. He goes, you know what? I know she had a problem with my stepbrother too, so maybe it's my family that rubs her the wrong way. Like I remember sitting there in the office and like putting my fucking But imagine that though, that you went into the office and you were just like, these furries, they will not leave you alone. The guy's been shitting and biting me.
I mean, it seems difficult to believe, to be honest. Like the whole thing, but then you see these like it was like
Different articles are saying
like
different
50
things.
It was like 50 kids, but the thing is, I watched the interview with the kids. I wasn't.
What are the kids saying?
They're saying exactly this.
The kids are like, they keep biting
They're
us.
like, they're biting us and they're hitting us, and they're like, if we try and fight back, they're like, we get in trouble, and they're like, it's the principal's child.
They're made men, the furries.
Basically, and they're saying all this stuff, and you're like, if you read it on some website, you'd be like, surely they're like, taking liberties here, but then you're like, it's straight from these kids' mouth. So unless they're organizing to make this shit up, and like, but it was like 20 kids or something.
The guy's got, I got bite marks, and the principal's like, you don't got shit.
They're like, they're biting our ankles and stuff. I'm like, kick him in the head. It's like, I would literally, if I was in high school or elementary school, some kid kicked me in the ankles, I would hoof him in the face.
I'd love to see that. And then you just see, you look around the hill and you just see 9,000 furries coming down. Hey, Jew boy.
It's Utah. There can't be that many furries.
I don't know, but some people are saying there's furries and they're out of control. The strange saga begins several weeks ago when a group of students cornered another group in the lunchroom and threw food at them because of the way they dressed at school. So this article is trying to paint it the other way. Then the school sent a letter out being like, hey, you guys need to lay off the furries. And then that's when it sort of went haywire because everyone was like, lay off the furries. They won't stop biting us.
Right. Yeah, maybe the furries are saying, I don't know if there was no interviews with any furries, so I don't know if they're saying, hey, we actually are just defending ourselves, but
the protest
are furries just the new goths? Is that what that is?
That's what someone sort of proposed. It was be like AF goths back in the day.
Yeah, is furries just the new goth? Because I remember there was like when I was in high school, and it was literally like the goths in South Park. Like
to me, there
was 4 goth kids.
Yeah, that's kind of what you would think.
And they were just like they hung out by themselves, and they were
goth kids around my area actually weren't that much of pussies.
Oh, these were
believe it or not, because this is when like Marilyn Manson was huge and all that sort of stuff. So we had goth kids that were almost like metal guy a little bit. So they actually weren't pussies. They just kind of wore weird shit.
No, these ones were pussies in my school.
I remember there was a weird thing where some of the goth kids, I remember the one like biggest goth kid I knew, he was like a real goth up until like grade 8, 9, and then like when Eminem and all that stuff like was getting hot, he basically transferred into being like a wigger.
That's a tough transition.
And he legitimately, I saw him because he went to a different school. I knew him from hockey, and I saw him 2 years later. He was like the full thing, makeup, everything. And I saw him 2 years later, and he was wearing like an Eminem jumpsuit. I was just like, what a turn!
Good move, I guess. Better than goth. The goth.
He just left the goth stuff in the dust.
The goth kid had a tough time in high school when I was in high school, like specifically.
Really, eh?
Yeah,
the Jewish. Oh, your high school wasn't feeling that. Not the Jewish high school, the Burlington one.
Yeah. They didn't have a good time. And then I remember seeing one of the goth kids like maybe 5 years later, and like I guess he was trying to slowly transition to normal, so he was just wearing eyeliner.
Well, you have to eventually transition out, right?
Yeah, like you can't be a goth for the rest of your life.
Some of them go to raver next. Some of the goths transition into like, they do the same thing, but instead of black pants, now you put a little neon on there. Yeah. You add a glow stick to the mix. You start dreading your hair a little, get some weird hairdos. I think some of the goths transition into that. Yeah. But it was weird when you see some of them hard transition into like straight up like a G Unit guy.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, people have long memories with that stuff. They're not being like, you're not the G Unit guy. Nice try, but no.
Well, that's when the furries start, transitioning into like a frat boy. Well, the furries, the crazy thing to me is the reason why this is so funny to me is because the protest actually happened.
Yes.
So the kids are out there, and there's other kids out there. Everyone's just protesting right now, right? So the other kids are like, "Free Palestine." It's like, no, the furries won't stop biting me. Like these two guys are beside each other having the same protest.
We are not unreasonable here. We just would like to not be bitten.
Stop the war.
By these fucking freaks.
Stop the war in Gaza. Craig won't stop biting me. Like legitimately.
Everyone has their own problems,
Craig's literally biting me.
Yeah.
He's gnawing on my ankle.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this one is so difficult to believe.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm waiting for there to be in like a month being like, this was like all a big prank by these kids or something.
That's the only option. It's either happening or the kids are pranking
but
or lying.
But they're not like furries with like the full things, are they?
Well, every side's trying to downplay the other side.
Right.
Like the one side is like, they're shitting in litter boxes, and the other side's like, we got the ears on. Right. We're basically anime people.
Yeah, we're like anime people.
And the other side's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
I've watched you shit in the litter box. So
Like when he's bringing a litter box from home, like you would think the janitor would be like, "What's this litter box doing in the restroom?"
I've hard time to believe they're shitting in a litter box.
I can't buy that. No.
But when it was just like the right-wing places and the guys, but then now that the kids are saying it, I'm a little more inclined to believe that something's going on.
Sure. But maybe the kids are smart and they just know they go, we should make up this litter box thing because this will like have the fucking furries.
We know
dead.
Libs at TikTok's gonna be all
We know
over
like
this.
these furries will be dead to rights if 5 of us say that we saw a fucking litter box. Like that's over.
It's like back in the day saying that you saw the Ozzy Osbourne fans doing spells.
Exactly. You know, and like kids aren't that stupid. Like they're probably
They
smart
were doing witchcraft.
or whatever. Yeah, exactly. But like these kids are probably like, you know, they're on the internet. They probably can figure out. They're 12. Like they can figure out to do this and just lie about it.
Yeah, there's probably some. We were sitting beside some kids, me and Eric, when we were on the way to the show. We were just like waiting for shakes, and there was like 4 or 5 kids talking about just how sick Andrew Tate is. Like probably like 11-year-olds, probably not 11, probably more like 13.
Yeah.
But it was just a table of 4 kids just being like, so sick, dude. Did you see that thing with Tristan? Like the 14-year-old kids are not about the furry life, right? So it is possible that they found out how to sort of like get the furries expelled by saying they're biting them.
Yeah. Is there a hustle? Do you think with all this like younger people liking the Tates, will they start like a hustler high school, hustler pre-K, a hustler pre-K? You're like signing up your 6-year-old for
Hustler Montessori school. Hustler Kumon? Do you think they have Kumon? I don't know. I don't think they have
Yeah,
Kumon in America. But
They have Kumon here.
Okay, Kumon's where you go to learn extra math.
Yeah.
If you're Asian. So mostly ethnic people in that class. Not a lot of white kids were getting sent to have to do extra
Yeah,
math.
that's why the whites are doing so badly, Ryan.
Well, obviously the Asians are. Yeah, the Asian kids were all doing like summer school math because they did so good.
No, they were like, it was like you'd be like a 10-year-old kid doing like calculus. And you're like, okay, well, we're falling behind.
Well, I was getting kicked out of the mall, and the Asian kids were getting forced to do 9 hours of extracurricular math.
Yep.
I was putting Jello in I was putting Jello mix in the janitor's bucket at the mall.
Yeah.
Getting banned for life, while these Asian kids were just getting Kumon to their earlids.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be interesting if they did a Hustler Montessori school. Okay, so someone sent us that we haven't checked on the Witches versus Patriarchy in a while.
What are they up to?
And we did a pretty deep dive this week and found probably some of the. This is actually, I get requests on the Reddit the same way I get requests on the street interviews. But there was some of the bangers of the week, especially since it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
The Witches versus Patriarchy are in full effect, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, they were crazy then, and they're crazy now.
No, they're crazier, I
You think they're
think.
crazier?
I don't know. These ones are pretty good. Maybe it was just a crazy month. Maybe the moon was in retrograde.
Well, the fucking eclipse just happened.
I think that's what happened.
Probably eclipse related.
The eclipse probably got the witches wildin', dude. This one's the most psycho shit you ever read. I need help with a simple hex. Hello, people. I would like to, this part's that I'm going to tell you first is going to be important for later on.
Sure.
Hello, people. I would like to begin by saying how good watching this community has been for my mental health. So just make a note that this has been good for her mental health. I felt very consumed by anger for some very, very bad folks. Then I discovered this subreddit, and with it came the idea to try to manifest all this rage and hatred into a curse. If I could give them a headache, that's good. Something worse, even better. So she started this journey for her mental health was having some problems.
Yep.
So now she's on a subreddit finding out how she can manifest headaches for her enemies.
I mean, I'm sure any fucking guy you're dating has had a few.
Do you think any therapist would give you that same advice? You're like, I have rage issues. I'm really depressed right now. Have you tried to do some spells to give headaches to people that you don't like?
Hey, I mean, that's kind of, that's the thing too, is like your headache's not like a huge deal, so.
Oh, no, you didn't listen. Or something worse.
Ooh.
She's not stopping at headache.
What's something worse?
We don't know yet.
Like, are we talking about killing them?
No, I think that would be like a full body ache, like a
neck
back
ache?
pain, back pain maybe.
What is this? Maybe she has like a little effigy thing, like the doll, where she's like the
Like
doll.
maybe like a calf injury because those take a long time to heal.
They do. Oh, brother.
So I asked a few friends who were into this stuff, and they gave me the following instructions. 1, acquire a picture of the person you want to put the curse on.
Okay.
Impale needles through their heads.
Yeah, so this is a voodoo doll. This is old school voodoo dolling right here.
Do you think that's good for your mental?
They don't. These kids are so lazy now, though.
I'm just working on my mental health. What are you doing? Giving him a headache.
See, 20, 30 years ago, if you wanted to put a hex on someone, you actually had to go knit a doll. Now these kids just go, they print off a photo and that's it.
Print off a photo, but they do more to it. They tie needles together through the string. They throw the impaled picture into a jar with graveyard dirt. So now, as part of her mental health journey, she's grave digging.
Graveyard dirt. Ooh, the spookiest of all dirt's graveyard dirt. Ooh.
Can't just be any dirt.
Can't be any dirt. That's a real different type of dirt. There's real energy.
Graveyard
dirt. She's probably on Halloween. She goes, who are you, kitty? And goes, trick or treat. And goes, here's some graveyard dirt. And goes, what? You're getting dirt for Halloween?
Also, her getting fucking arrested at the graveyard for grave digging. And she's like, I'm working on my mental health. Right. You don't understand. This is therapeutic. Throw the impaled picture into a jar with graveyard dirt and nails. So you've got a jar with the picture that you voodoo dolled into a jar, graveyard dirt, and nails. Yelling swear words into the jar. So that's probably really good for the mental health too. Fuck you, piece of shit, cunt, fuck, cocksucker. So you're having like a Tourette's thing into the jar.
Totally normal, healthy behavior.
You're yelling into the graveyard dirt. Piece of fucking shit, graveyard dirt.
And then do you quickly put the lid on to trap the swears?
You trap the swears.
Do you trap the swears in really quickly?
Yelling swear words in whenever it comes. After swearing into it for a few days. So that's a few days of swears.
Oh, my God.
So some of them might get out, so you have to do 2 days of
it's like you ever try to fart in a jar? It's probably like that. It's hard to get it. It's hard to keep it in.
Do you think anyone could sell their swear words in a jar?
Probably some OnlyFans chick.
Do you think you open it up and go, sure?
Fuck you.
God. So she puts the swear words into the jar, swears into it for a few days, pours some vinegar on the swear word in graveyard dirt, seal the jar with a black candle, and place it someplace dark and bury it. So I don't know if this is going to be the best for your mental health.
This is all just to give someone a headache?
This is or something worse.
So much work for you to just be like, just go.
They're gonna have to buy an Advil.
Hit a pan beside their head or something. I guess you don't want them to know though.
But then you find them eating. Once you see them drinking, like taking an Advil, it was all worth it.
Right. You go.
The 2 days of yelling profanities into the jar.
Yeah. You go. Oh, I got a fucking headache. But then they take an Advil. And go. Oh, all better now.
Yeah. Imagine running into them while they're doing this. They're just someone comes down, your daughter's just in the room swearing into a jar full volume, graveyard dirt all over the house.
Yeah.
Comments are pretty funny. Just a quick check that depending on the graveyard, you might have mixed luck. So it's not just any graveyard.
Yeah, because what if you're like in a graveyard of like war veterans?
I think that's lucky.
Yeah. That's lucky graveyard dirt.
That might be good graveyard dirt.
Yeah. You need to go to like the behind the prison.
Well,
you need the rapist graveyard dirt.
Yeah, that's true.
Like murderers and stuff.
Although what they actually say is consecrated Christian ground, I find, has its own wands. And depending on where you are, different levels of illegal to take the soil. Also, it's illegal, she says. But she says when you go with Christian graveyard grounds, you sort of get mixed results because it has a mind of its own. So you might be right that they want the prison graveyard.
You want prison graveyard.
Indian burial ground.
Those godless people who just are bad generally.
Another comment. Buried jars break and rise up from the earth and cut and slash. Better to find a way to forgive. Better to cast the cause of the anger onto the care of the universe and wash your hands of the ones who caused it. Unreleased anger in our soul cuts and wounds those we love as we surely as the broken glass and does nothing. So she's saying that...
Doesn't sound very witch-like.
Doesn't sound very witch-like, but she's sort of saying that there might be some broken glass kicking around.
Yeah.
Because of your anger.
All right.
But it's funny because everyone takes it seriously. So there's sort of like, this is like the old head of the witch community being like, Honestly, great idea, but like I've tried the jar
Yeah,
thing.
done there, yeah.
Yeah, listen, I've been there, done that.
Let me tell you, you're going to spend 2 days trying to figure out how to trap these swears in the jar.
And it's not trapping swears is a harder game than you think. Not to mention the noise complaints that are going to come from the condo board.
Can you whisper swears in, or do you have to yell them in?
Also, the jar breaks sometimes if
Jar
you
will
put too
break.
much dirt in there.
Yeah.
I don't think you whisper them. This is full volume, full fledged. You were all in. This is an attack on that jar verbally.
Psychotic behavior.
So that's a funny one.
All right.
Found dead bird. What to do? I'm on vacay in Trinidad with my on vacay in Trinidad with my large family, and things have been really tough in terms of fighting and tension. I've suspected that someone might have put something on us, and today that's the best. They're fighting. These things is probably someone put a hex on them. And today I found a dead bird in the driveway. What do I do with the bird? My gut feeling's to bury it, but she's trying to stop the hex that was put on them with the bird.
Because it wasn't just a bird that died; it was a bird that died like to hex her.
Well, it's also funny, like getting in a big fight with your like girl, and then you come up to who you think you're doing it. You're like, you think that's funny, eh? You having a good time? What? It's like that fight we just got in. You like doing that? Are you having a fun time over there?
You go,
just know I'm on to you.
You go, what do you mean? You go, I found a dead bird. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not stupid. I saw the dead bird, pal. I know listen, you think that I don't know that you put a fucking get in a fight with my aunt hex on me?
That killed that poor bird?
And also killed a bird? Help me out with a non-threatening yet petty message to a scammer. This is actually probably the best one. Someone online attempted to scam me through a fake rental property. I outsmarted him.
I outsmarted him.
In my last email to him, and he hasn't replied in over a day. So she said, anywho, I want to send him a sort of lightly salted email, one might call it.
Why did she do the jar?
The Nigerian prince didn't know who they fucking emailed. It's a guy in a call center in India. Send them an email trying to scam them. You messed with the wrong fucking witch, pal.
Not today.
I wish a motherfucker would. So this is what they're thinking, something along the lines of a lightly salted email.
Lightly salted.
Shame on you for trying to scam the good people out of their earned money and preying on the vulnerable people in tough situations. How absolutely disgraceful. Karma will find you swiftly and bring you exactly what you deserve. Good choice you made trying to scam a witch. Trust and believe that the appropriate repercussions will find you in your sinful actions in universal karmic ways. You are truly the scum of the earth. You will get what you deserve. So she's workshopping that bad boy.
There you go. It's not really like witchcraft though. That's just normal shit people do.
Seems a little bit of a normal shit, but he's saying no karma. I've always said that I was saying karma like is what girls use kind of when they don't have a rich dad.
Yeah.
They can't say like, you know who my dad is.
Right.
They have to say like, do you know how much of a relationship I have with karma?
Sure.
Do you understand that me and karma are?
You'll get yours.
Yeah, me and karma are pretty tight right now.
Just you wait.
Let's just say the last person that messed with me, let's say karma put them in their place.
Sure.
If that's what you want, that's what you want. That's all I'm saying.
I like she goes, second edit. How hilarious would it be if I sent him a voice note pretending to speak in tongues and ended off with a little, and so it is. Like the guy's like a fucking telemarketer scammer.
I know.
He's like, he deals with nonsense all day. He goes,
Call
and so it is. I don't understand.
You say it is. I do not know.
I don't understand. So it is.
So it is.
I don't get.
It's a Nigerian prince. This is 100% the kid at school is like getting bullied, and then he's like, "Well, I bet you weren't expecting me to do one of these." He tries to throw like a fake fireball at you, and you're just like, "What?" Send me some good sassy witchy lines. I just want to scare this little asshole. I want him to know who he messed with. You think that guy is sitting in the call center? He's just sitting there white.
Yeah.
His boss comes over. He's like, "What's going on? You haven't done any emails this 10 minutes." And he's just like, "You don't understand. I've been cursed.
Yeah.
The jig is up."
It's crazy because like it's so funny what a chick will do when she wants to like fuck with telemarketers. Like, you ever seen like the guys who have like the YouTube channels who fuck with telemarketers, and they're like, they'll literally like take over their like cameras in the thing, and they're like, I'm looking at you right now.
Whoa, that's actually sick.
Dude, they're awesome. But they're like, they'll talk to me, some guy, like, hey, I know your name, and like, I know everything about you, and be like, I'm watching you right now.
Holy shit. Yeah. That's a hero.
Yeah. Dude, there's all these guys who are like, their whole channels are just getting back at scammers, like telemarketer scammers and stuff, and they'll like do all this stuff. Dude, some of them had like,
what's the names of them? Do you remember the names?
I know one of the main ones is that guy Kitaboga. I think this is Kitaboga or something. And but there's like a bunch of them, and like you'll see them, and they'll like literally.
That's a patriot right there.
Yeah. They'll like, and they'll send the police in. They're all in like India, and they'll like send the police in like to literally like arrest them all and stuff. Like
because they call the Indian police.
They call the Indian police and they get them arrested because it's still illegal there. They just do it there.
They've actually had some busts.
Yeah. Oh, they're wild, man. But like some of the stuff is like because
that's a good hobby.
Because some of them are like they're trying to scam your, and then like they'll take over their computer and shit, like so they no longer have.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think it's possible that the police bust was actually because of the tongues email?
It's possible. It's the if they got the right cemetery dirt, it's possible.
Because if they got the right cemetery dirt, you're assuming that it was because this guy called the cops and told them their address. But is it also possible that this hex had more to do with it?
It's like they're both responsible. They both can take credit for it because I think it couldn't have been possible without either of them.
Okay, and then the last witch thing was basically because we can't remember that these are anti-racist witches. You know what I mean? They're not just they're actually against the patriarchy, and what being against the patriarchy actually means is you're anti-racist, right? And against all the causes.
It'll be bad if they find out who these telemarketer scammers are, though. That's not very.
That must be
not very anti-racist of them, considering that
it's a really
literally
good point.
Systemic racism is the reason why they need to scam you to get this money because they can't work in other.
Do you understand the racial prejudice that Meghan Markle had to go through? Well, now picture what a Nigerian prince is going through. It's far worse.
It's fucked up. These chicks are fucked.
This Nigerian prince can't even unload his millions of dollars because of racism.
He's just trying to give
and now
it away.
You're putting hexes
and literally
on him.
because you're racist, you think he's scamming you.
Well, she says, here is a low-risk, tangible, anti-racist action you can start working on in the next week. So it's basically a guide for witches on how to not be racist.
Okay.
But it's a tall order that she wants them to do.
Yeah.
She goes, I want to talk about realistic, tangible, anti-racist. The first one, if you do your banking with Bank of America or Wells Fargo, I would like you to move your money away to a local credit union. Both banks have an extensive, fairly recent history of racial discrimination. So first of all, you're switching banks. You can't use banks anymore.
Yeah, you got a local credit union.
She said they're realistic, easy things. It's not an easy thing to
This
be.
Latine thing is new, huh?
What's a Latine
They're
thing?
done with Latinx. Latine is the new Latinx.
What is that? Like a Latin person that likes saltines?
I don't know. It's Afro-Latine.
I think it's like a salted cracker from Mexico.
Afro-Latine does sound delicious, actually. Nowadays. Think about it.
Excuse me, could I please have a sleeve of Latines? I've been known to take down a sleeve of saltines, buddy.
Yeah,
that's my guilty pleasure, man. Fishes and salted crackers. I can't have them in my house because they go. But every once in a while, I buy myself 4 sleeves. And they never make it past 2 days. 2 sleeves a day.
Yeah,
I'm fucking breakfast, lunch, dinner. I'm on sleeve of crackers.
Crackers? Anything on them? Just plain.
Not plain, dude.
Oh.
Diet Coke. I usually wash it down with a DC if I can.
I mean, they are good. There is something really good about those saltine crackers because they're so basic, but
they're not that basic.
They're pretty basic, but they are good. I'm not here to argue with you on this one. I actually
next thing he's gonna be saying.
I do enjoy a good fucking saltine, man.
But it's quite a hassle. The stuff this girl's asking for. Next, most of the produce grocery chains like Walmart use slave labor in the form of prison industrial complex. Does Walmart use slave labor?
I've never heard of Walmart using slave labor, like in terms...
And not the prison. I mean, maybe they use slave labor overseas. I didn't know they use prison labor.
No, I didn't know that.
If you can buy produce from a local farmer's market instead of Walmart. So you can't use Walmart. You got to go to farmer's market. A lot of her witch
I guess
things
they're saying they're like the people who pick the...
Well, a lot of her witch things are expensive. You know what I mean? You go to a credit union where you get dinged on the fees. You're shopping at the expensive places. You're buying $40 apples.
Yeah, and there's no spell to like compensate for.
You know what?
money.
I would say it must be nice to be privileged as much as this witch that can just be going to farmers markets to buy your produce.
A lot of Afro-Latin privilege.
Right? She has a little bit of privilege here.
Big time.
Another is to choose to buy a Fairphone instead of an Apple or Samsung. So now you're buying a new phone.
Which are like
privileged much? Which
not only a new phone, but you have to not buy 2 of like the
main ones. You have to buy a crappy different phone.
Like weird phone.
Sounds like Fairphone propaganda.
You got to buy like an Amish phone or a kosher phone.
Do you think Fairphone's gonna have a new commercial? I don't even know what a Fairphone is.
I don't know what a Fairphone is. I assume it's maybe like a kosher phone.
I think it's the witch phone, and you basically have it on. It's like you put it's like a can with a string to another tin can, but they have like pictures of bats on them and stuff like that, I would imagine.
It looks like a normal phone. It's just like a Dutch electronics company. Yeah, it's like, I guess it's just.
So now you're buying a new phone. Another significant rare metals like lithium and coltan. Oh, because the iPhones are mined in places than Congo. Fairphone has fair coltan sourcing.
All right.
So you start out joining this witch thing. You're just like, I'll be a witch. And then next thing you know, you got to buy a new phone. You're yelling into a fucking jar in a graveyard.
Yeah. And nothing, there's no spells that can just make, like, why can't you just cast a spell to make Bank of America go under?
She doesn't have that kind of power yet.
Well, you're not even working.
You're right. They were pretty practical things. None of her things were being witch-oriented.
Yeah, this
they were
isn't witch-oriented at all. Where's the spells?
It really seems like
Where's the bankruptcy spells?
It seems a little unnecessary to be a witch that you have to do all this random stuff that has nothing to do with witches. You know what I mean? You have to buy your ethically sourced broom.
Yeah, you know what?
Fellas, we're talking VPNs. If you don't have one, you're out of your mind. So that's why I'm telling you about Proton. Proton products are the only alternative to big tech. Extremely easy to use thanks to its interface. I've been using Proton VPN. Whether you're in Texas and there's certain sites you can't use, you're going to want that VPN. You don't want to be putting your name in there and get that GAYPORN. And also, you can sometimes games are only available in certain regions. Sometimes shows are only available in certain regions. Sometimes you're doing something that you just do not want to be traced on. You don't want the government all up in your business. Proton VPN. Use it to get easy access to geoblock content. Also provides safety through anonymity. VPNs are ideal for remote work setups. That's one I wasn't even thinking about.
Yep.
Go to protonvpn.com/Ryan Long. You get 1 month free when you sign up for 1 year, 45% savings, and 3 months free when you sign up for 2 years, 56% savings, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. protonvpn.com/Ryan Long. Boys, we're out here getting healthy, you know? Sometimes you're trying to break a bad habit and it's the hardest thing to do. You get sidetracked with other stuff. We've all been there. But for a breath of fresh air, Fume is here. It's not about giving up. It's about switching up. Fume takes your bad habit, makes it better, healthier, and a whole lot more enjoyable. Y'all probably know what habit I'm talking about. And Fume, I use it. It's an innovative, award-winning flavored air device that does just that. I like to pop it down when I'm editing. It's fun to play with. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses delicious flavors. And there's a bunch of them. You can switch it up, keep it interesting. So you get it. Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy that makes replacing your bad habit easy. And Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your finger a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while you're breaking your habit. And when you're trying to break habits, the easiest thing to do is just replace it with something else. It doesn't take that long. You find after a month, you're like, I just do this now.
Yeah.
Instead of reaching for that, you're reaching for the Fume. Tastes great, feels cool. The look has beautiful wood on it. Plus, Fume just released a magnetic stand for your Fume, so there's no more losing it around the house. It's built with fidgeting in mind. You can spin your Fume around on it. So start the year off right with the good habit by going to tryfume.com/boyscast, getting the journey pack today. Fume is giving our listeners of the show 10% off when they use the code BOYSCAST to help make starting the good habit that much easier. Okay, a guy had a question for us from the Patreon.
Okay.
I thought it was an okay question just because we talked about it a bit, but also I was just talking about Justin and Nick Simmons about this.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, it's a big topic, I feel like, with guys right now. But
okay.
To give perspective, I used to be 240 pounds. I'm down to under 2 bills. Easily the best shape I've been in. Feel good. I lowered the amount of weed I did. I had my blood work done and his T was low. And then he said he's 30 years old, he's single, he makes pretty good money. It's cool to see everything improve, but however, his 330 T is still low, and anything below 400 is low. Doctors said testosterone supplements, he sort of feels like it's shameful for some reason, even though people like Huberman and Chris Williams will talk about it. You and Danny have talked about how back in the day you were...
to take testosterone?
He says he feels weird about taking it.
I mean, there are side effects. Like it will if you don't take it with. I can't remember what the thing is, but if you have to take it with a cocktail, otherwise it will make you sterile.
Someone told me that.
I told you that because it shrinks your testes. Because it's like the whole point is your testes produce testosterone, and then if you're putting,
I guess that makes sense,
synthetic testosterone in, then it shrinks your testes, and then you will you become sterile.
Well, I guess the negatives too. I don't see any of the shameful part. I think the shameful part if you're 20, but if you're probably in your if you're getting in your 30s, you probably want to.
I mean, it's not shameful though, because it's like really the thing is some people do have actually like clinically low testosterone, and then you're just like whatever.
It's just one of those things that you kind of, it's like starting to take Rogaine. You're just like, once they start, you're on it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So you just have to accept that I'm this guy.
Yeah. You have to accept that you're going to be on it. But
like,
I'm
even
sure
I've thought I'd probably do it. I don't think I have low, but I've sort of thought like I would probably do that. But
I'll do
I
it
think
for sure at some point.
But it just probably won't be yet. I think I have another. I might maybe mid 40s is when I start fucking thinking I'm that guy.
Yeah, I think.
But Justin and Nick, these guys are like on it. He was like basically like, I have more energy. You don't understand. He goes, I feel fucking 20 again. I highly recommend is what he's saying. He's going hard on this.
I've never seen any downsides to it other than the sterile part.
Well, he says you and Danny said you were the biggest consumer of dick pills. That was me, not Danny.
Yeah.
And you said it's nice to have a boost. And he says, Danny says he doesn't use them because he finds women with sex disgusting. He says, this guy's got you in the scope, dude. Well, the rumor is that apparently the dick pills raise the T a little bit, and I think they do.
Interesting. I've never heard that.
Well, I think fucking they do, man. I think like getting revved up sexually, I think gets your T fucking cooking.
Yeah. I wonder. I
think there was a study that said dick pills raise your T a little bit.
I don't know.
Does Cialis raise T?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
By an appreciable amount?
Yeah, which results in increases in testosterone levels and supernaturals. Yeah,
well,
definitely. So
right.
It fucking increased protein expression of androgen receptors and decreased estrogen. It decreases your estrogen too.
No. So, I mean, I guess
it's good for your heart. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's good for your heart.
The biggest recommendation I've ever made is like, you're not on this all the time. It's like once every month or two, you're on a fucking pill.
Well, I told you those guys at Merrick or whatever, they're like, he was saying that like, that's going to be the huge like thing in the future will be everybody's going to be microdosing.
Or macro dosing.
Viagra, but no, more importantly, but you take it every day.
Yeah.
It's like daily.
Well, it makes you harder. I mean, Danny needs a dick and maker.
Got him. Yeah, but apparently
Danny's going to show up to the podcast. He's going to be like, yeah, I took some pills and it worked. It made it a lot harder. And you're like, Danny, what's going on your forearm? You're just missing the...
I'm in like a sling.
Just missing the huge slab of skin from your forearm.
Look at your goddamn arm. What this? Oh, I burned it on a pan. It's a hot pan.
Just the fucking biggest slab of skin. Went for a bit of a dick surgery. Which one? Maker?
Yeah, what were we doing down in Mexico for that whole time?
Yeah, I don't. You could try Tonga Ali first. That's the other thing. Because
You've been
Tonga
taking
Ali,
that, haven't you?
yeah,
You like it?
I don't know if it. I can't tell.
Yeah,
Someone from this podcast also, when I said I was taking Tonga Ali, they said you should try this other one. They sent me that.
The thing is, it's hard to tell because if you don't do your blood work before and after,
That's
then
the
you're,
thing.
you're not measuring it. So then how do you really?
And I'm travel so much and my sleep's all over the place. It's like hard to ever have like random sample because it's always like there's so many factors that I'm factoring in. But
Yeah.
I figure it can't hurt.
No, it's not going to hurt.
Okay. There's a little bit of comedy news. Arj Barker, comedian, hits back after he kicked out a breastfeeding women from his Melbourne comedy festival show, and it's kind of a big story. There's like 100 articles about this.
It's pretty funny.
Breastfeeding in a comedy show is something else.
Yeah, especially with the fucking what's going on in comedy with all the crowd work stuff, and you're like front row, whipping out your tit.
Right, you're looking for it.
Yeah, you're like, what are you doing? You think this is not what the comedian's not going to bring it up? Even like
the baby was apparently crying and stuff, and this woman's going on like a fucking tour right now being like, I was treated poorly. It's like, you bring a fucking baby to a comedy show, you psychopath?
Yeah, no.
Wrong with you.
No, you don't bring you can't, there's one thing to be like, oh, I brought a baby to like a baseball game where it's loud and it's not, there's not the expectation of there being,
I know. You're at a comedy show?
Silence. It's like, crazy.
Obviously, the guy in Australia is going to say, "Going for a feed, mate."
In it.
Catch me in Australia. 7 different shows in Australia and New Zealand. And New Zealand are not buying tickets. Worst show I've ever had in my life. I might even cancel it. I'm not going to cancel it, but
Yeah.
I think we only sold 200 tickets or something like that. These fucking New Zealand weasels. Australia, however, we might be adding shows. You're going to want to get those tickets. Melbourne, Sydney, and some of the other places even.
Yeah.
Rob Schneider also had one. I think it's actually not as big a deal as they said, but Rob Schneider's comedy routine was apparently too raunchy for a Republic event. So the Schneidmeister.
Oh, the Schneid?
The Schneidmeister.
Well, because he probably just did jokes, and then he was at some fucking, like...
offending people at the concert.
What were the jokes, did they say?
Apparently, it was a Republican conservative event.
Yeah, so they'd probably, like, if you swear...
And he did the Korean whorehouses. He did stuff about Korean whorehouses, and apparently
they're probably not going to like that.
clutching the pearls a little bit.
Yeah.
I told you that was my favorite thing when I went to the conservative event one time, and they asked me to do comedy at it. I didn't actually know it was like a billionaire event. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And then basically, but it was mostly conservative people, and they had someone doing a seminar, speech, whatever it was, about how you can't say anything in comedy anymore. And they were all coming up to me afterwards, and then it was probably the most walkouts I've ever had in a set. And it was like legitimately people were walking out like, well, I never. And I was like, this person was just attending how you can't say anything in comedy anymore.
I think there's a free speech. They're going, yeah, not like that.
No.
Not like that, though.
We're free speech, like you could make a joke about George Floyd. We're not free speech, like
exactly.
you can talk about sucking.
Go call Obama, say he's from Kenya.
Yeah, that's the free speech. That's the free speech we were talking about. You know what I mean?
Big Mike stuff. That's the kind of stuff we like.
But the Schneidster getting kicked out of the show.
He actually got booted.
No,
or?
someone got walked out. But the thing they were saying is that he got the light early, but then he went on and said that he did his appropriate time.
Oh, so he got the light and just ignored it.
He apparently said that someone was walking out, and then apparently
The Walkman.
No, walking out,
The Walkarino.
walking out the picture.
Christopher Walken.
JJ, we used to call JJ when JJ doesn't walk people as much anymore, but he used to always have these blowouts on stage and people would walk out, and then we used to put on the Walker Texas Ranger music.
Song, yeah, literally, I'd be in the back and I'd pull it up on YouTube and just
that Walker Texas Ranger. The Schneidster offending people with the whorehouse bit.
Man, you can't fucking tell a whorehouse joke anymore.
So we've talked a bit about how we talk a lot about how they're always trying to normalize every wacky shit.
Yep.
But I mentioned that when we're always looking at articles and stuff, there's a lot of articles that have been popping up trying to normalize the psychopath thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of girls right now on TikTok that have these huge channels being like, I'm a psycho.
I'm a loco. They don't say I'm loco, but they want to. I'm loco.
Do you think there's a Mexican gang member that's like, you not think I'm loco? And then the girl's like, I actually have a channel about being loco myself.
Yeah, me too. It's two of us.
Couple of locomotions.
Couple of locos.
Their whole channel is just, do you not think I'm fucking loco? Vic is a self-proclaimed psychopath. Psychopath.
There you go.
I have a channel about being a psychopath. It's just
man.
Wait,
Everybody needs an identity.
What is your girl's an influencer? What kind of influencer? She's a psycho influencer. Just some psycho shit.
She's trying to bring being a psycho to...
It is so funny how quickly, the
masses.
5 years ago, people started realizing that I can basically be like I'm retarded and, get a thing.
I'll tell you what you don't want to be. Nothing. You do not want to just be like, I'm normal.
Nah.
You're a chick. You go, what are you? I don't know. Nothing.
Are you anxious? Not really.
No.
Good luck. Good luck with that.
Addictions? No.
You were telling me that, and I agree, but you were saying it's just like an old-fashioned freak show where it's like a bearded lady, the world's fattest man.
Yeah.
The funny part is you'll see, there's one, if you go on Facebook, there's like I said, I don't follow anyone, so I get hit with a lot of wacky shit if I ever scroll through there. And it'll be, like a girl that's like missing a hand, but she's smoking hot.
Yeah.
And it was just like, no one's having sympathy for that. You're a hot woman. I'm just saying like, oh no, you're going to have to use your mouth.
Yeah. I mean,
Unless the pussy's missing.
that's not what TikTok or Instagram are like. That's for sure.
But this girl's fucking loco, dude.
Crazy.
I'm crazy. She was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder when she was 19 years old. In recent months, she's been sharing her unique worldview on TikTok to a rapidly growing audience to destigmatize the disorder. Why do we want to destigmatize being a literal psychopath?
They have to destigmatize everything.
I want to go on there and just be like, I'm a real psycho, and call her a poser and be like, nah, that's not even psycho at all. She's like, just yesterday I punched a girl. I'm like, not that psycho.
Yeah,
nah,
you
poser.
Grab the knife thing. You do this.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll show you. Psycho.
I'll show you psycho. Yeah. Do you have any kids? Did you kill them? They're still alive? Okay. I mean, I guess, yeah. Sure.
Fucking amateur shit right here.
Crowd work of it's the crowd work of being psycho. What's up, everybody? Just killed another cat. Tomorrow, tune in. I'm gonna be torturing bugs.
Bam. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, chicks just need identity. You know, it's like a race for an identity. Like,
yeah, this one, I think there is also some of them that are just like, wait, we can be famous for having like something wrong with us.
It's just like an untapped market. They go, fuck, there's probably, I mean, there's been no shortage of guys telling chicks they're psychos forever. Now they're just kind of putting an official stamp on it.
Do you think every guy should go to the girl and be like, oh my God, good news. There's a way for you to monetize yourself. Do you remember how you just...
Remember how you poured that pot of boiling oil on me? There's actually a career in that now.
Just a girl being like, I'm thinking about, oh, what do you do for a living? She's like, I'm an influencer. You're like, oh, psycho influencer? She's like, no, normal. What is a psycho influencer? Oh, I just thought that maybe you were...
Yeah. I mean, they're going to have conventions and stuff for sure. They're going to just have a ton
just a bunch of psycho.
Yeah. They'll be like, it won't be only psycho. They'll probably have like an umbrella. It'll be like psychos, sociopaths.
Sociopaths in their one area, the psychos in the other.
But they'll all have like some...
PsychoCon?
So some sort of con or PathCon.
And then there's going to be like another psycho kind of doing the conference like at the top of us, like, psychos, you know, they try to hold us down.
Yeah, for sure. You know, some people are like, I'm both, and they're like, you can't be both.
You can't be both, man.
No,
you gotta
pick.
both. It's like the Capulets and the Montagues, man. You gotta be a psychopath or a sociopath. Generally, we're taught by movies and TV shows that psychopaths are the villains. Vic wants you to know that they aren't bad people. She has friends. She cries sometimes, mainly as a stress release, and she admits that she can reduce tears that she usually uses to manipulate people.
Oh, wow. The psycho chick is crying.
Empathy's like a faucet. I can turn it on and off. If I want to be empathetic towards others, I can. Although she does follow that statement up by saying it helps me to manipulate people. I cry sometimes on command. That's
on command life. When I need to get what I want. Totally normal.
You know what these people used to have to do back in the day before influencing? They had to be the third chair on a morning radio show.
Oh, that's wacky.
We're Brad, Frank, and the Maniac. What was that David Cross joke?
Oh, yeah.
They used to always
the Gator and the Lunatic.
They always had one. They always had one crazy guy. We have Brad, Tom, and the Lunatic. He's in a cage. His shirt's all tattered.
Time-tested formula.
That's these girls right now. That's what they have to go on TikTok to do their one-man show. Whereas back in the day, they had to be the third mic on a morning radio show.
Yeah, that's true. Now they probably get more attention than being on a morning radio show, though.
The Dog, the Bear, and the Lunatic. Welcome to the dog zone. She's got chains on. That'd be funny to her think she got chains on and everything.
Bring out the lunatic. It's like
jingle, 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 jingle. I think turn it off. I think the chains are too heavy. Take it, do it again. He tells his boyfriend, turn the camera off. We're doing it again.
Yeah.
Just coming out of my lair right now. Another one. There's multiple articles. We got a bunch. I only picked two, but I am a sociopath. I love it. Dr. Patrick Gagne says he's strangled a cat, broken into homes, and stabbed a child in the head.
Stab a child in the head. Totally normal stuff.
All while feeling no guilt or shame. Now she's a psycho. Now she's a psychologist who says everyone should be like her. Yeah.
Yeah, you should. Is it just because you need to feel what it's like to stab?
Dr. Patrice Gagne, and said she stabbed a child in the head. And now she's got a TikTok
Why do
channel.
I need to stab a child in the head just to know what it feels like?
Well, I think she's gotten control of it. Now she's not stabbing childs in the head, but she says, I'm a liar, I'm a thief, I'm a bitch, I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a liar, I'm a thief. I check my TikTok channel.
Man, these chicks need
I'm a liar, I'm a thief, I'm emotionally manipulative. Didn't work. I'm emotionally manipulative. I don't feel guilt. I don't feel shame. That's what the song says. I do not feel ashamed.
Can we get her a job in the military or something? That's like
That's where you're supposed to go.
That's like these two chicks. Unfortunately, they're chicks, but like I mean, they can both go to the military. That's what we need to do with them.
Yeah, well,
send them to the army.
Honestly, it's like these are psychopaths, and sure, whatever. They're figuring out a way to make some money on TikTok, I guess.
Yeah.
But the crazy part is, why are these fucking bloggers pushing this? Like, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's like, no, there is actually pretty something wrong with it, because there's nothing wrong with anything.
Nothing wrong with anything.
There's no objective standard of one thing being better than another.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with anything. That's the whole point. Is to go, yeah, here's my thing, and nothing wrong with it. You go, I'm a murderer. There's nothing wrong with it.
She does school drop-off and pickup every day for other moms who are just like her on the surface. So she urges us to be more understanding of sociopaths, who she says suffer from emotional learning disability, lacking the conscience that keeps most of us on the straight and narrow. Psychopaths are people too.
I mean, I guess as long as they're not hurting animals.
She was hurting animals, I think.
But I still hurting it. Yeah, I guess she was hurting animals. Yeah. Yeah, because that's when they turn into serial killers.
It's weird that you're sort of allowed to torture some animals. Like, if you want to, like, torture bees, like, you kind of can.
Yeah, you can torture bees.
Like, there is sort of certain animals that you kind of can torture. I guess, is it based on, like, how smart they are, like, and like how pain reacts with their brains?
It's how, yeah.
Like, if there's sort of like a consciousness, like, it's
a
different
their
level.
degree of consciousness. Like, nobody's ever been arrested for, like, torturing a fish
Or a worm or something, but
yeah,
it is still mean, though.
Yeah. You ever done that thing, though, when you were a kid, where you took a piece of floss and you took a bee and you put it in the freezer, and then you tie floss to the bee, and then you have like a pet bee, because then it wakes up from the freezer.
It wakes up?
Yeah, it wakes up. It basically, you put it in the freezer, it goes to sleep, and then tie a piece of floss around it.
What do you tie the piece of floss to?
Just to its abdomen, and then it wakes up. You take it out, and then it wakes up, and then you just have like a bee on a string.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You actually worked?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you'd have a bee on a string?
Yeah.
That's the most dangerous man around, by the way.
It didn't do what you wanted it to do.
If you just have a bunch of bees on a string.
You could, but they're going
Go on up to someone,
They're going to
like-
sting you at some point if you have too many of them.
Oh, I guess they can just come sting you.
Yeah, they come sting you. Yeah,
I guess that's for sure.
You just want the one bee, and then you kind of do that for a minute, and then you just...
I got stung by like fucking 40 bees one time.
Really?
I was mowing the grass, and then against my will, they used to fucking make me do slave labor out in the backyard nonstop, man.
Yeah.
And I had to move the piece of paper. And then I moved a piece of paper, and it had like a bee's nest under there, and they just went fucking ham on me.
Ooh, that's tough.
And I was running, and then the fucking I was running. The screen door was closed. I'm yelling, "Let me out!"
And they're just...
Candyman's just fucking doing me in.
Yeah, I got bit by a lot of wasps. No bees, so yeah, wasps.
You know what I was kind of thinking? Girls had a pretty good deal because for years they kind of were like, real men do this. Like there was like, real men carry groceries in, real men take out the garbage. And you kind of could kind of get guys to do anything by saying real men do this.
Yeah.
And they sort of were doing that. You know what I mean? Like real men fix shit. And you'd be like, well, that's me, a real man. I better fucking
I'm a real man.
Yeah, I better do these chores. You know what I mean? But then they started saying like, real men like obese women, real men support trans athletes, real men cry. They start doing all this stuff, and then people just stop listening to them, and they sort of probably ruined their thing a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they had a pretty good scam where they could just say real men do something, and then guys would have to sign up, and they would line up to do it.
Yeah,
but then they made them too ridiculous.
Yeah. Sometimes these are not real women, though.
Real men cry would say that,
Yeah, real men cry.
Like girls would start saying that stuff, and the guy would just be like,
That
"Hey, but I
only
know
works
it
when the
doesn't
chicks
work."
aren't gross, though.
But even then, though, they don't actually like guys that cry. They started lying to you about what guys like. When they were saying real men take out the garbage, they were listing off things that they want you to do, but that actually is true. They want you to do.
Yeah, they do
So
want
when they were saying like real men do all this stuff, like real men would fix a carburetor. It actually is true that you learn to fix a carburetor, and girls that would actually kind of like that skill.
Yeah,
then they started selling you shit that would actually girls make you like you less. They started saying real guys cry, and then the guy's like, why isn't it working.
That does not work. No.
I was
But,
thinking that.
real women do the laundry and stuff. I don't know.
I was sort of thinking that,
Good
like,
deal.
you know, yeah, that's a good deal. But guys aren't telling them, like, oh, real women
No,
actually
'cause
fucking
they don't have to
get
tell
fat.
them. You don't want us to have to tell you.
They saying cry over spilt milk. That was one guy 20 years ago that cried. One guy 200 years ago that cried once over spilled milk, and we're still talking about it 100,000 years later. One time.
That was a chick. That was not a guy who cried over spilled milk.
If it was a girl,
who's more likely to cry over some spilled milk?
Here's my hypothesis, though. If it was a girl that cried over spilt milk, no one would have mentioned it past that afternoon. Whereas a guy, the town guy cried over spilt milk. It was probably, that's why it became a saying, because it was like a big, huge guy cried over spilt milk, and everyone's like, remember the time Brad cried over spilled milk? And then it became like a big
No, it's
thing.
because the chick wouldn't shut up about it 2 years later. She's still talking about the fucking. Remember the time I spilled the milk? Like, shut up. Nah, Ryan's fucking trying to do the dogs dirty by saying that was a guy. No way.
It was one guy that was listening to the girls. Some too many girls told him he needs to cry, and then he cried over the spilt milk, and then every guy's still talking about it 2,000 years later.
No, that was a chick who cried. It's a girl thing. Sorry, boys.
By the way, the Faucinator,
Yeah.
Dr. Fauci,
I'm getting so many ads right now on Twitter, by the way, from Rand Paul that it's
ads from Rand Paul.
from Rand Paul on Twitter that he wants Fauci behind bars, and it's like literally.
Well, he's been saying that for a minute.
Yeah, but like now I'm getting ads, and I'm like, where your ads? Just like
I mean, I'd like
I
to
guess he has a
see
book, maybe I
Fauci
don't.
behind some fucking X bars at least, because Fauci needs to put some meat on those little fucking string bean bones of his.
we saw that first pitch.
Low T Fauci, yeah.
Yeah,
Someone was telling
Why,
me
is
they
he
could get
getting
me
up-
to throw the first pitch at the Jays.
you're gonna do it.
Someone was telling me that the Jays, like,
Jeff died.
someone there liked me or something, and I
Oh.
could go throw the first pitch or something, but
Sure
I
do.
don't want to do that. I have no interest in doing that.
Yeah.
Why would I want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of
For what?
the problem is if you
I haven't watched a Jays game, and there's
if you-
10,000
if you pull a 50 cent, then it's a tough look.
But why would I want to do that?
I don't know.
What's the benefit?
If you like the Jays,
I don't see the upside.
well, you gotta throw a strike, man. Or you're gonna be wearing a fucking Blue Jays jersey that just says Bugman on the back.
It is true, right? There's like a 1 in 10 chance you botch it, and people never
Dude, the
forget
50
it.
cent pitch is like literally people still bring it up.
I'm actually pretty good at throwing on pitches. That'd be
Yeah.
fine. I don't
The
think that'd
big
be a
trick-
problem. I just don't care about
the
baseball.
big mistake that most people make when they throw a bad pitch is they pitch off the mound, which is a big
Oh,
mistake.
the mound throws you off.
Totally fucks up. You got to go off the front of it. Like
I probably would throw me off. You're right.
but some people don't think, and they'll just go off the mound, and then you get like you got to be synced up to actually like throw a strike off the mound.
Sure. Well, I'm not doing it anyway. But the Faucinator, there just keeps like kind of coming out.
Yeah.
Because you're right. People like Rand Paul are not letting this go. Fauci just wants to go back to his cave and just sort of be a hero. But a lot of the Faucis are like, no.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that was interesting was one of the new studies. There's always a few studies here and there, and I only picked this one. But basically, when he was doing the coronavirus gain of function research,
Yeah.
the thing that like got uncovered recently, which is kind of like one of his many little scandals or whatever.
Sure, like the Beagles.
Basically, they wanted to do a novel coronavirus to engineer to infect human cells while leaving no trace of its lab origins. So the initial like doctrine that they sent to people, they were like, we want this to not be able to look like it came from a lab. And it's like, why would that matter?
Yeah.
Like, why would that be in the thing? Doesn't that sound suspicious? You go,
Sure.
Why would you not? Why would it matter? Why would you need that?
Yeah. Why would you need that?
Makes you think, huh?
What's that Fauci up to?
Really makes
Where
you
has he
think.
been
What's this?
for the
What are you up
last-
to, Fauci?
And where's he been for the last 2 years?
I think he's.
You think if
he's
Trump
gone.
wins, fucking Fauci? Although I guess he worked under Trump. Was Fauci from before Trump?
Fauci's been around for a minute, pal.
But was Fauci working under Obama, and then he just was like the guy who transferred
Fauci's been
over? Yeah,
working
forever, right? So yeah. But then he left after Trump. So
He's
I think-
born
I think
in a
if anything-
coronavirus
Sorry, can I
lab.
get one of those? I think if anything, Trump, if he gets reelected, he basically has to put him on trial. Big show trial. Trump goes, you like my show trials? Here's a fucking trial for the country.
Fauci trials would be wild,
Fauci
eh?
trial. Wouldn't that be crazy? He's like shows up with fucking handcuffed, perp walk, orange jumpsuit.
Ooh, that would be something
all
else.
all the fucking chicks at Colombia are fucking being like, you're like, you go after Fauci. We love Fauci.
I would definitely go to that trial and do street interviews. I'll tell you that much.
I was actually wondering, all those protesters at Colombia and stuff, do they all wear masks because they're afraid of COVID or to cover their face or both?
Probably both at this point. But if
Yeah.
it's for COVID, that's fucking wild.
I mean, I still see, dude. Did you see? Where did I see it? There's some. I mean, there's still people. So many people are still obsessed with COVID. I know we talk about. I can't fucking open this.
Want me to grab that for you, retard?
Why is it so hard? Oh, is this spin? Is this a spin?
All that Fauci talk got him so fucking wound up.
Oh, it's. You know what? I never open these. It has like it lines up with the thing.
So the rest gap, if you don't mind, Danny, we're trying to do a show here.
I'm trying to open a Zin, Ryan.
If you wouldn't mind, we're doing a show here for the kind people who are patrons of patreon.com/theboyscast, which we are now 400 away from reaching our next goal, where me and Danny will be doing another
shooting some guns
episode of our TV show, episode 3. And if you haven't seen the other ones, you can go over there and see hundreds of episodes. And
2-0.
Also, you can see the 2 episodes of our half-hour TV show.
Yeah. One of them's 45 minutes, actually.
Well, this one's funny, though, that they were trying to push, like, trying to do the dogs dirty, because they're always trying to push why things are easier for dudes, right? But they go, is the rest gap why women are so exhausted? So we got if you give me a siren here, Danny. New gap alert, new gap alert, new gap alert, new gap. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel like we had it there.
Gap alert.
So they said that women are more exhausted. Now, they're saying it's not because of all the yapping. It's not from making all the psycho TikToks. Some people have said maybe if they did a little less binging The Bachelor till all hours of the night, maybe they would have a little more energy.
Focus on their sleep.
A little less doom scrolling. Then you'd have a little less time. But they're saying it's not that.
What is it then?
In essence, the rest gap describes the idea that women get less sleep of men because of societal pressures and expectations that take their focus away from much needed rest. Zero explanation as to why.
Yeah.
They just throw that out there and you go, how do societal pressures result in less sleep? And they just go, women are conditioned to take care of others before themselves. But why does that make you sleep less? Not ringing a bell.
I mean, I can understand maybe like if you have a baby.
That's the only thing that makes sense, but that's not what they're saying.
Because the baby wants their mother. But
unfortunately, they are not saying that.
So what are they saying? What are they saying?
Well, they don't get more sleep than me, I'll tell you that much. But why? They never explain. And they go, oh, women are more empathetic. And you're like, but how does that get you less sleep?
Well, because you're so just staying up worrying about everybody. So then you can't sleep because you're just worrying. You're a bit of a worry wart.
Do you know what the weird thing is? I was actually thinking when I was reading this, there's so many, like, you know, this is like girl channels or like how to be a psycho.
Yeah.
There are so many. I kind of almost feel bad for girls because there are so many right now male channels that kind of like give guys good advice. You know, some of it's not, you have to parse through. Some of it, it's not all perfect, but like there's so many genuine guys that are like successful, in good shape, have a good life, that are like, you know, aggregated all their best tips and to give them on the internet.
Sure.
Women, all of their tips are legitimately why the world needs to change. Like if you're saying women, for some reason, if you're saying women have too much societal pressures and all these things are happening and that's why they're sleeping less, why would your like articles and advice not be to like how to change that for yourself?
Yeah, there's no solutions.
It's not solutions. It's like why the world's wrong.
It's more like women are more prone to complaining.
Well, apparently they're not prone to complaining, and that's why they can't sleep. We live in a productivity-obsessed world. In office settings, women are often working doubly hard to prove themselves. Again, they don't actually have any stats to back this up. They're just saying in general.
I mean, they would not be able to.
There's in general, they're like, they work twice as hard at work. Based on what? It's like, my friend Stacy was a really hard worker. I was like, mumbo jumbo.
I mean, she makes half as much as the CEO, so she must be working.
Exactly, yeah. She probably works as many hours as the CEO.
Yeah.
This is even more exacerbated for black women, other women of color, members of the LGBT community. So now fucking gay people are working harder. If anything, sometimes it's the opposite because you handle them with care a little bit. Dude, I legitimately, if I had employees, I'm just saying for myself, maybe this is whether it's good or bad, I'm probably... Like if I had a male employee, and I've had like where I worked with guys and girls, I'm actually like nicer to the girls.
Yeah.
Like guys, I'm more likely to be
which
like,
one
what
is
are you
more
fucking-
likely to cry at work?
Right. So I actually, like, it's not, they don't have to work doubly hard to prove themselves. It's the opposite sometimes.
I mean, that's the thing.
They have to work the same hard and I'll be like, great job.
Sure.
Because I'm like afraid of them a little bit.
Yeah, because they might start crying at any moment. They're a goddamn powder keg just ready.
But gay guys are probably sometimes more of a powder keg than women.
I don't think gay guys are going to be crying at work.
I can see.
They're going to be more like poison.
There's
They're going
lots
to
of
be more
different
like
types.
poisoning your food in the lunchroom.
Although it's just the same thing as there's lots of different types of normal people, like guys or girls.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different types of gay guys, right? And there's a certain type of gay guy that like handle with care.
Sure. Yeah.
Like my brother's not a handle with care gay, but there are certain gays where you just be like, that guy could fucking blow up on me any moment. Fucking
Very
put me on blast on
mentally
the internet.
volatile people.
Yeah.
Yeah. AKA women.
Yeah,
They
women.
just have very feminine. Not all.
But the thing is, if you go, we live in a productivity world. This is the first part where you're just like, they're too like worried about stuff. Like think about how much women probably are like wrapped up in like, you know, caring about every cause and all that stuff, even though none of it they can help.
Yeah. Or affects them.
Right. So probably instead of practical advice, like, okay, if you're fucking thinking about that stuff and you're going to sleep just thinking about the world, like maybe you need to find a way to like wean yourself off of this shit a little bit because you're not helping anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
But the answer is more in these articles. The answer is like, no, society needs to stop giving you so much pressures and expectations. We need to stop focusing on productivity as a society.
Okay.
Right?
I mean, productivity is not a bad thing.
So you can add the rest gap to the wealth gap,
They
the
just don't
health
have
gap.
to compete against men. They don't like that because now that they're equals, you go, okay, well then you compete against men.
Yeah, kind of is just one of those things where you're like, there is probably some degree where you're like, guys have been in the workforce longer, so they have some degree of like better coping mechanisms for it.
Yeah. And they're just not allowed to really make a huge scene out of their problems. They just have to internally deal with it.
Well, that's a point that you could easily say the other way around, right? Because they're sort of saying like, hey, women are more empathetic, so they
I mean, women
have
are
more stress.
objectively more empathetic.
But you could also say that, you know, men are told to suck it up more, so
Yes,
they
for sure.
suck it up more, so that's why they get less sleep, and that's why, like, it just feels like you're just listing off the differences of women, and then you never really explain how they actually affect sleep.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll concede is like, yeah, the child rearing for sure. I'm sure
That's the only one,
I'm sure,
yeah.
which is a big one. It's not nothing,
Obviously.
but just say it. Don't say like these.
Well, if you're
fucking
saying because they have
vague
kids and they send the
bullshit.
babies, they wake up with the babies more. That's why they get less sleep. Everyone would be
Yeah.
like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're like, no, because the world's focused on productivity and that disproportionately affects women
Well, you
negatively.
can't be
and you go,
super
what?
productive like in a workplace if you got all these kids to deal with.
And other sleeping women knows is another one. I'm telling you, I bring these things when there's trends, man.
Yeah.
I'm not just bringing one. I'm bringing you. There's 14 different.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Also, it catches a trend, like someone picks up on it, and then other people are like, they get their gap alarm and they all
Women
catch
aren't
on it.
sleeping?
Women aren't sleeping. Women aren't sleeping.
Women be sleeping.
Fire up the presses. Get one of these unpartisan NPR articles cooking right now. Women are sleeping less and stressed out more than ever. But again, you could.
Women are not stressed out more than ever. Based on what? Like again,
Well, I think some of it is based on their choices to be like engaging with like stressful
but
content
these are
online consistently,
literally
right?
claims that are impossible.
Dude,
to
if you're outside
you can say like,
protesting
"Hey,
every
men
day."
are more jealous than ever." You go, "What the fuck does that mean?"
Yes, I agree with you.
You go, "Men are more jealous than ever." You go, "Explain." You go, "I can't," but I know they are.
Than ever, they were more stressed out than like when their family was being like raided by
Exactly,
you
like
know?
when you're like in the middle of the night, like a fucking bomb dropped on you.
They were probably
Dude,
more stressed out then.
I visited my grandma the other day.
That is a good point, though. It is just a random things that probably can't be proven.
Yeah, I was seeing.
And there also might be a thing where you're just like, if women are stressed out more than ever, you could also say it's like, well, yeah, because they used to stay at home with the kids and now they have to have jobs.
Yeah,
and that's more stressful.
and
like
they
part
still
of it-
have some responsibilities.
Like part of it, you could just be like, well, women are more stressed, and you're like, well, yeah, now they're like working at like banks and stuff like that, and they used to just sit at home fucking feeding applesauce to a kid,
yeah, that's more stressful.
watching Barney.
And you still got to think about your kid. Like you still probably have more than 50% of that responsibility.
But if you were trying to solve it, like they're not usually trying to solve. These articles are never trying to solve it. They're trying to be like, and fucking fix it, pal.
Yeah.
Change everything.
Yeah.
But what you should be, it's like, well, okay, so how do you figure out how to get started? Probably exercise probably helps that. Like, again, try to engage with less stressful content. Stop worrying about things you can't control. I've seen a lot of people that are very stressed
you can't
out.
control is like maybe the number one thing.
That's a big one that I noticed with like, it's a younger person too. A lot of these things that you'd say women, they also like appeal to like younger people where you're just like, yeah, you don't like when you look at your life like objectively, you're just like, don't get overly stressed over the things that aren't actually helping you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know you always like to make fun of me because my friends were like not dialed into anything, but I was just hanging out. Hanging out with a bunch of them. They're not stressed out because
Well, you have three
they
friends.
don't know any of it. I'm telling you, it's more than that, and they just like
You don't have that many
they
friends. I don't
what's-
know. You claim that. He lives in New York. Danny claims he has this hordes and hordes of friends.
These are all my friends back in Canada.
They go to different schools.
They go to different schools. You don't know them.
I've known Danny for 15
They're just my
years.
friends from high school.
I've known Danny for 15 years. Probably seen you 2-3 times a week for 15 years. Never heard of these guys. The only time they come
met
up is when they have to support one of your points.
Yeah.
These 15 men that all happen to agree with you.
They don't agree with me. I'm just saying they don't know what's going on.
I know you got your couple of suburb golfing buddies that don't pay attention.
They don't have social media. It's a great life. No, but even their chicks and stuff, they don't care about any of this stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure there's different stress. It depends on your job, right? Like if you have the big stress is like if you have a stressful job or not.
They're just their job. Yeah, they're just. But again, imagine you have your job and then also like all these fucking random things going on in just the world.
Yes.
On top of that, like your job, you can control. You go, I can show up to work an hour earlier. I can stay an hour later. I can be more productive. I can blah 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 blah. Like,
well, especially now, people are working from home. It's like these people like. It's saying they're stressed out more than ever. It's like, well, you're kicked up in your pajamas, fucking working on your laptop, doing a Zoom call.
That too. Yeah.
It's probably easier. Maybe not better for the companies, but for people, it's like you literally, so many people that entered the workforce now, you work 2 hours a day less just because you don't commute.
Yeah. Like those people working down the street at Google, they're like, probably all those chicks are like, I'm more stressed out than I've ever been. And you're like, why? You go, Israel.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
And you go, what do you mean? You're like, you work at Google, you make $400,000 a year as a fucking like safety team on like the AI. And
just walking
women,
in censor.
Women in AI.
No,
Yeah.
censor. Do you see Elon Musk getting into it with the CEO or the
Australia thing?
Yeah, the president of Australia, Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
That's the thing. Australia thinks they're like, Australia just needs to kind of flex and go, hey, we're not irrelevant. So they go, hey, Elon, you got to do stuff. He's like, no.
Well, the problem was apparently that they're saying he wants them to censor people in Australia everywhere else.
Yeah,
he was just like, I'll censor him in Australia.
That priest getting stabbed, and then they go, that video cannot be on the internet. You're like, I don't know who told you what's going on in Australia. You guys don't get to dictate what's going on the internet. All right. Just more videos of people fighting kangaroos.
That's all. Give us some kangaroo videos.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but dictating to the world.
I'll tell you what, if the Prime Minister of Australia tries to come to my show, he's gonna get kangarooed by me, man.
He's gonna hear it
verbally. He's gonna get verbally kangarooed.
Sure.
I'm gonna give him a mouthful, and you know what? He's paying double. There you have it, President of Australia. You're paying double if you're coming to my show.
Yeah, if you play your cards right, you might be able to give Ryan a mouthful.
No, you won't.
Yeah.
No. You actually, even if you play your cards right, you won't be able to give me a mouthful. Probably less, probably half a mouthful knowing that guy. Small D.
Probably. Still sucking it though. It's just a lot of room in there.
You show up and he'd be like, you want to suck it? And I go, he goes, how many older brothers do you have? And I go, actually, I'm the oldest. And he goes, fuck, all right, well, fuck. All right, I'll move on.
Know anybody?
Do you know anybody? Do you do a podcast with anyone who has an older brothers? They might fall into that category. American stress level. So the poll found 36% of women and 48% of men found that they were getting less sleep than they needed. Just 27% of young women said that they get good sleep. But also this is based on saying it.
Yeah.
So again, you could also say that men are more likely to say that they're fine when they're not.
For sure.
So a study where they're just saying it doesn't necessarily, like you'd have to bring them in and check it.
Yeah, you're gonna do like a sleep, like I had a friend of mine who like he was having fucked up sleep, and like you got to go to like a clinic for like 2 days or something and like sleep there and stuff, and they monitor you and hook you up to like 100 machines.
American stress levels are on the rise, particularly among women most affected. 53% of women reported feeling stressed compared to 45% of men. Younger women reported feeling more stressed. I think that obviously social media is making people more stressed, but if you can cope it, you can be less stressed. Like, everyone doesn't have to be on social media. You're right. Like we have to be on.
Yeah.
So many people, it's like you do not have to be scrolling through TikTok.
Absolutely not.
You can watch a movie.
And shouldn't this be compared to like generations and stuff? Like, should it be like women now are more stressed than women were like the previous generation versus just saying they're just more stressed?
Yeah, then what?
Then what?
Then they were?
Yeah, then like shouldn't it be like, oh, it's more stressful than dude, I was talking to my cousin and she like found out she has like her husband has like some cousin in like France or something that he met through that they found out about through one of the 23andMe or thing. She was telling this guy basically he like remarried and he has a thing, but essentially the story was during the war, like World War II, this guy was supposed to meet with his family to go take like a boat somewhere. They were like, because they were like escaping the war, and he was late for the boat, and then the boat took off without him with his family, and then the fucking boat got bombed, so then his whole family died, and he's like that sucks. He just started a new life.
Whoa.
Well, one thing, he was just late for a boat ride, and then he lived and he lost his whole family, and you're like, yeah, that seemed more stressful back then.
That's pretty stressful.
That seemed more stressful that was just like on the table.
Yeah.
You know,
basically Adam Sandler in the 9/11 movie.
Exactly. Yeah, haven't seen it, but
yeah, it does seem a little bit like propaganda that it's more. But a lot of those factors, even if it is, it just seems to me like stuff of it. When you're like, if you look at someone. When you look at someone and then they go, I'm really stressed. You go, yeah, you should solve that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? You're like,
what are you doing?
The world should solve that. You're right.
Yeah. What do you? I mean, stress is bad for you. You're like, what are you doing? Do you do breathing exercises?
And you're like, oh, I'm so stressed at my job. It's like, well, at some point, maybe you're not like capable to do this job, and you need an easier job. Like, there's other jobs.
Absolutely.
You know what the most propaganda? I've been kind of saying this on stage a couple of times, but the most propaganda you've ever seen was obviously periods suck. Blah, given, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. But when they do you ever see the videos where they do the period? They put the belt on the guy to show him what period cramps are like.
Yeah,
and they essentially
an electrocute.
Oh, they have like Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he's like, like he's a German spy being tortured for information, and you're just like, yeah, I've seen this girl cry because she got stung by a mosquito. She's not going through that every month.
You're like, look, I've had stomach cramps before from getting food poisoning. Like, yeah, they suck, but probably those are worse than your ones.
It's not the belt is propaganda, dude.
Yeah.
He goes, well, I said, girls will never know the pain of buying an expensive dinner and then going your separate ways with the chick. Sure. That's a real pain.
Well, you want to do something? She goes, no, I'm just going to go home. You go, all right.
They should do, guys. This is ladies. This is what it feels like when a guy buys a $300 dinner. They put like a fucking bodysuit on. They go,
just Mike Tyson shows up and just punches you in the head.
Yeah. It can't be true, right? They have these like huge guys. Dude, I saw Mark Wahlberg did one and he's like,
the problem is you don't put him on a woman to be like, oh yeah, that is what this feels like. A woman would probably be like, oh, but what the fuck?
Yeah, why wouldn't she just be like, business as usual?
Yeah, exactly. She goes, oh, this is nothing.
That's propaganda at its finest. You're not getting electrocuted at a high voltage.
Not buying it.
Guy's hair's turning white.
Ain't buying what you're selling, ladies.
But you should be buying the Patreon for $5 a month. One of the best deals in the world. Banger episodes. And every time we have a guest, we do our own show behind the Patreon as well.
Yep.
This is...
So if maybe there's a guest you don't care for...
Yes.
For whatever
There's a full... And we usually do a little bit of a longer episode when we have a guest too.
There's a whole episode for you.
Yes, behind the Patreon.com/theboyscast. Appreciate everyone's support. Thank you everyone for coming out to San Diego. Those were fucking banger shows.
Also Hamilton. Yeah, those were sick too.
Yeah, it was a fun-ass weekend. I had a really good time there. So I'll see people Austin and Houston at the end of the tour.
Plano this weekend.
Plano!
Dallas, Plano, all weekend.
Show your Plano face to the Australia.
Plano face.
You're going to show your Plano face to the president of Australia. Please.